Welcome to the regularly scheduled public meeting of August 21, 2017 of the Township of Washington Township Council. Adequate notice of this meeting was given in accordance with the Open Public Meeting Act by the Township Clerk to at least 2 newspapers in January, and this notice has been posted on the Township Bulletin Board and the Township website. Of course, if there are any disability requirements, please notify before you come, and the exit doors are on your left and right should there be any reason to evacuate. Please stand, salute the flag. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Calamari?
Here.
Councilman Cassio?
Here.
Councilman Sears?
Here.
Councilman Ullman?
Here.
Council President Bruno?
Here. Okay, we have an approval of minutes, October 6, 2016, public meeting minutes, and October 6, 2016 closed session minutes, which I thought was a typo, but it wasn't. May 8, 2017 public meeting minutes, May 8, 2017 conference meeting minutes. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Calamari?
Yes.
Councilman Cassio?
Yes.
Councilman Sears?
Yes.
Councilman Ullman?
Yes.
Council President Bruno?
Yes. Okay, we'll start with the report of the mayor, please.
Okay, thank you, Councilman Bruno. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to start off with our summer recreation program, which was directed by Christopher Pinto and went extremely well this year with 140 children enjoying many great activities, field trips, water slides, and presentations. We did get a lot of complimentary feedback. As a matter of fact, the 8th graders who normally don't enter the program said that, you know, that we should do one for next year for them, so we're working on a separate program. The men's over 35 softball league had its championship game on August 16 between the maroon and the blue teams. The score was tied going into the bottom of the 6th, and the maroon team scored to be the champs. Vito Traus and I presented them with the championship trophy. Registration for Falcons football and cheerleading is complete, and the teams are practicing. A new scoreboard is being delivered shortly, we hope very shortly, and it will be installed in September. Ortani Bank was a major contributor, and we appreciate their generosity to the township. B Street Band. On Friday, this coming Friday, August 25, from 7:30 to 11 p.m., the B Street Band will be here to perform. It's free. The concert is free, and doors open at 6 p.m. The fire department with Mike Agnello and Pete Neary are the team leaders organizing this event, and that is sponsored also by Ortani Bank. Nicholas Marcus is a food vendor that evening, so in case you want to eat out, you can come and purchase food. Bring your own chair or blanket. Correction. In reference to the Township 2017 salary ordinance, in the past CAC press it reported that the mayor makes $9,900 a quarter, and that the council people make $6,367 a quarter, and that's not true. That's the salary for the whole year. Department of Municipal Facilities.
Waiting for my check.
Our next street sweeping will be by Paramus on or about August 28th. Garden and household debris is continuing, so is work on field, town lots, and catch basins. We cleared catch basins on Monroe, Spice Drive, Beechwood, and Hickory. A lot of road signs and signs are being cleared of brush and line of sight obstructions. Our staff cleared out a lot of down trees and snags along the waterways at the library and Spice Drive. In the next 2 weeks, the department will be focusing on refreshing crosswalks, stop lines, parking lot at Town Hall, yellow curbs around the schools, the commuter lot, and handicap parking spaces. Also, our staff is continuing to maintain homes that are unabated by the property owners. We're keeping good records, though, for our fees. Street signs were replaced and new stop signs installed at certain intersections, and we used 2 tons of asphalt to fill potholes this month. A crew from the road department used a sewer jet to perform monthly inspections at multiple locations. Mechanically, the tires on the sanitation trucks were rotated out, and the old and worn ones are being recapped. The DMF participated in Touch a Truck program at the library. It's a great program, and the children and their parents had a lot of fun on the trucks, especially blowing the horns. Council Vice President Ullman, Councilman Sears, and I attended. White goods collection was done on August 16. The next collection for white goods is September 20, but you must call the road department for an appointment. Based on emergent circumstances, which means all the work we have to get done, and we do have somebody out on workman's comp, I have authorized seasonal employees to work 35 hours a week until further notice. Wall of Veterans. Next door in the senior center, our Wall of Veterans was restored because we had the whole room painted last year, and it was done by Jim Joyce, president of the Golden Seniors, and Herman Brightfeller, a member. And they did a lot of research on the walker display system and installed it so that we could have this wall replaced. If you have anybody that you know that was a veteran or still, living here in the township, please, if you'd like to have them placed in that wall, you can send or bring the picture up to Bernadette and the information. Speaking of veterans, Habitat for the Humanities began removal work in preparation for the new housing at the former VFW site. They called one day, and I happened to be here, and they asked if we would like to have anything from there. And I was very happy to get the stained glass window that was upstairs in the church area. It's a lot bigger than we thought, but it's absolutely gorgeous. The building was a church and then a VFW. So we got that, plus the VFW flagpole, which is an important part of our history, and the flagpole is going to be installed down by the monument. Another thing for Habitat for the Humanity, we were approached, the administrator and I, by J.C. Raimondo about a situation in which they had 10 volunteers from Stryker Company scheduled to work on a project, which fell through. So they called us to see if we had one. Well, it didn't take the administrator, the road superintendent, and I more than a few minutes to come up with a project. So on Thursday, August 24, the volunteers will be painting this whole council chambers, the shed at Memorial Field. They'll be cleaning the basketball court and the pavilion, and it's perfect timing, as Administrator Grow noted, because it's the day before B Street Band. Before the last council meeting, Administrator Grow, Councilman Casio, and Council President Bruno and I interviewed a representative from Millennium Strategies they had put in an application for a grant. I mean, they applied to us to be a grant provider. Access improvements, Memorial Field, the Bergen County Open Space Matching Grant that we received for replacing of existing sidewalks and installation of handicap ramps at Memorial Field has been delayed due to weather. And we're not letting them do it this week anyway because of B Street Band, so it probably won't be until next week. NJDOT grant, Engineer Satil submitted a proposal to the Department of Transportation to pave Woodfield Road. We just received notice that they gave us $165,627. Last week it was announced, and we're going to be working on that right now. FEMA cash reimbursement, Corporal Rio Fastiano, who is our OEM Deputy Director, has been working to get reimbursement funds for expenses that we had in the 2016 snowstorm Jonas. And FEMA actually sent us last week $16,739, which represents 75% reimbursement of what it cost us to do cleanup. So I thank Rio and Administrator Grow and Superintendent Bill Lawler for helping out with that process. Traffic-related improvements made this weekend. Recently, Chief Hooper, Captain Hackbarth, and I discussed and met with county personnel. Billy Thieves was one of them, in regard to traffic situations. As a result, Bergen County Operations and statewide striping made the following improvements on Saturday. They worked all day, And they installed a crosswalk on Ridgewood Road to match up with the ramp at Westwood Regional High School, which is great. They removed the shoulder lines for eastbound Washington Avenue between Burke and Meissen to allow the addition of white skip lines to create a left-hand turn lane. We need to put arrows in it, I think, now. They painted stop ahead notices on Van Emberg at the intersection by the Big Hill, northbound and southbound. It's a big help already. They refreshed crosswalks, turn arrows, and skip lines on Pascack Road at Manhattan. And they did the same thing at Pascack and Ridgewood Road. In addition, we are in the process of preparing necessary paperwork to make East Glen a 25-mile-per-hour speed zone. I'm going to ask the council if I have 3 people later who are in favor of doing this, making it 25 instead of 35, because it's a lot of work that has to be done here in the township with data, and also the county does county studies and traffic studies, and before they could recommend this to the freeholders. So if 3 of you are in favor of changing that speed limit, please let me know so that we can move forward with this. Okay, road program 2017. Milling work was completed this past week. Paving began today, Monday. They did Hickory, Beach, Taylor, I think, and Hapa Chestnut. And the only change to the overall paving program was the addition of a part of Lincoln Avenue. And everybody who's getting a road paved has gotten a notice as to when not to go on the road, stay off the tack coat, and all that kind of stuff. Blood drive in honor of Grace and Alex. We had a blood drive a couple weeks ago in honor of 2 children in our town who we had blood drives for originally, and they collected 68 pints of blood, and the people were very happy. Okay, a Westwood Regional referendum for a middle school. Officials from Westwood and Washington Township, with myself, Councilman Ullman, attended a presentation by Dr. Gonzalez and school board members in regard to the Westwood Regional referendum for a middle school, and that is grades 6 to 8. In New Jersey, there were 218 middle schools, and in Bergen County, there were 24. The superintendent reviewed the goals and objectives of the educational plan, such as health and wellness, guidance, curriculum, and so on, and how the renovated facilities would support a better education. The total cost of the project is $27,674,000. Now that includes $13 million from school district reserves, $10 million from the taxpayer portion, and $4 million from state aid. Please take the time to review the information. It's on the website, and the referendum will be December 12th. The YJCC. You all know that the Bethany Church, the small Bethany Church over here, purchased the YJCC. As this purchase was in the making for quite a while, I was very concerned about the sale of the original Bethany facility on Pascack Road, which is near our complex. For several months in closed session, as part of property purchase, I did discuss with the council the possibility of purchasing the church building. I thought it had a lot of possibilities for the township, especially in moving the ambulance corps to the church to have a presence on Pascack Road, as well as a drive-through garage where they don't have to back in with the rig, they could just go right through. Then the road department people might be able to go into the ambulance corps, which would be much better for them. We would then save a lot of money by not having to spend $3 million on the road department building. Would be a lot less. In addition, part of the original Bethany Church, which is very large, if you've ever been inside it, could become partially rateable, depending on what we would do with the remainder of the building. However, there wasn't enough people that council people went along with this, so the original Bethany Church has now been sold to another church. Tax bills. Thank you very much for your excellent response to the recent delay of tax bills as per the county and the state. Sorry, Bob. We mailed the tax bills on Monday, August 7, and we all predicted that as soon as the mailman arrived on Tuesday, people would come in, and believe me, they were coming in right after their mailman dropped it off, so I thank you very much. You do have until August 31 to pay them. Shredding and e-recycling. The next shredding and e-recycling event will be on Saturday, October 21, from 9 to noon, so please get ready. For the month of July, you recycled 448 tons of paper, as opposed to 89 tons last July. I hope to see better figures for August and September, and because now the commingled, we don't get any money for it. We have to pay for them to take it away. Waste management permit to haul garbage. Ironically enough, Rich Weir called me this morning and to update me, and this is his quote. The matter remains under consideration by the BCUA staff and also our legal counsel, and we are currently responding to a fairly lengthy request for records submitted by the Hillsdale Borough Attorney. Accordingly, then, the waste management permit will not be on the August 24 agenda of the BCUA, so we have a lot of time. Some of the regional districts in the area have been in the past few years trying to withdraw from the system they're in. It's very complicated, but they're making a lot more headway at the state level. So we have to keep our eye on that since we're in a regional school system. Ambulance Corps. From January till July 31, Ambulance Corps was dispatched 303 times and 50 in June. And if you could, I would hope that you would consider becoming a member of the Corps. They do a lot of work. The fire department, they answered 111 calls with 14 in July actually. And their service calls include a lot of things: fires, rescues, accidents, and so on. Our new deputy chief's car was ordered and should be here in September. The police department answered 4,927 calls since January. I also want to express my sympathy to Police Director Bill Cicchetti on the passing of his wife Janet on August 17. She had a lifelong struggle with a certain type of arthritis, and she was a very active volunteer, even though she was sort of confined to the house. As a member of the Police Wives Association, New Jersey State Nurses, Arthritis Foundation, and she has received numerous awards and commendations for that. Also, please be reminded that Drive Sober or Get Pulled Over will be going on the last 2 weeks of August into Labor Day. Personnel, we recently hired Linda Lucini, who I see just walked in, as an acting court administrator, and hopefully as soon as I finish, we will swear her in as the real court administrator. Mary Ann Groh has been extremely busy with all kinds of quotes, bids, state contracting, Memorial Field, and all kinds of other things. Also, fair share housing, I see some towns are putting in a referendum if they should stop issuing building and zoning permits. I feel that all towns should be able to determine what they want to have in their town. And as Assemblywoman Holly Shapisi said, the number of affordable units is outrageous. Last but not least, the library. As you know, they're doing an outstanding job. They have a lot of great programs for the summer, and they also have a lot set up for the fall. They did the eclipse thing today too. And then they have a San Gennaro celebration on September 16th. And I'm done.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Do you want to swear Linda Lucini in, or do you want to wait?
Well, let's just do the report of the
Okay.
council, and then we'll, so, Dr. Cassio?
As always, the mayor's covered everything in depth, and I'm just going to go over a few things that I'm doing. And thank you, Madam Mayor, for keeping me informed as well. I appreciate it. I've been in contact with Jake Briggs from Representative Josh Gottheimer's office, our congressman, working on the 1033A program, which allows us to use their surplus for municipalities. We're working on that. We're also interviewing grant writers for the town at this point. Myself, Mayor Sopowicz, Council President Bruno, and Administrator Groh interviewed a company last week, and we are interested in interviewing more. We know we have a presentation tonight, so we're interested in that. We always like free money here in Washington Township, so to speak. Let's see. The mayor brought up the referendum for the school, middle school, coming in December 12th, I think is the...
December 12th.
Is the vote, and I urge everyone to go out and vote that day. Whether you're for it or against the expansion, please let your voice be heard. It's important. It's part of your civic duty. You know, what I really don't like is when people have a result that they don't care for, and I found out they didn't vote one way or the other. I respect whatever the outcome is, but please go out and vote. Also with the Westwood Regional School, you know they're putting in a garage/concession stand down at the high school. I hopefully that will continue and proceed, going through proper channels with DEP. I know the school would never do anything that would be deleterious to the community, and I hope that project moves along forward if it's so possible. Other than that, I think the mayor covered everything else.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Sears?
Thank you, Council President. I'm on a different opinion that the school does not understand the township. They're building a quote-unquote maintenance garage on wetlands. They want to build a middle school that they have not vetted the school in 10 years. So we don't know how many kids belong in that school or don't belong in our school system. And just reading the superintendent's comments about the parking only proves that he really should step down, because he really has no interest in this town. To say that the only thing the 100 some odd residents should suck it up and have these people park up and down the street is ridiculous. It only proves that both him and the school administration is anti-Washington Township, and I call for his resignation tonight. I'm interested about engine 43, if the rear tires have been purchased for that truck, since a big chunk of the tire has been missing. And I also want to, again, reiterate about Friday night, the B Street Band, being run by the fire department, Mike Agnello, Pete Neary, and it'll be around 7:30. Thank you.
Thank you. I put down engine 43 for our discussion in conference. Mr. Calamari?
Thank you. Two real quick things. Again, the Board of Education, garage and parking. I hope as many of you here and watching can go to their meeting on the 24th and just give them your opinion. Like Dr. Cassio said, you know, you have to let your voice be heard. So if you have an opinion for or against any of those items, please let them hear it. Second quick thing, a bit of a personal note. My uncle, John Calamari, who served on this council in the 70s, recently passed away. So just keep him in mind, please. Thank you. That's it.
Our prayers are with him.
Thanks.
Mr. Holman?
Madam Mayor, covered quite a bit. I just want to bring up one point. I am the township's representative, or the council's representative, on the planning board. And we recently had a store from the strip mall come with an application. It's a party store. I don't really think that's relevant, but what was clear to me is that these are people from our community that are here to serve our community. Her and her husband are opening the store. They'll be working basically 7 days a week, and I think if you go into almost any store in the strip mall or any really store in town, that there are a lot of people in the town who are working to serve you. They employ residents, they are residents. So if you have a choice of going down the road to Route 17 to another town, versus shopping in the township, I would encourage you to shop in the township because it really does support small business and supports our town. That would be my only comment.
Thank you. I don't have much. Just the Madam Mayor covered a lot, and it is nice to see that we made some progress with the traffic conditions. I'm hoping that the lines on Washington heading east with the 2 lanes freeze some of the double crossing the yellows, which is good. And just one quick note, I know we talked about the tax bills, but it is the second consecutive municipal tax decrease for Washington Township, which I think is a great accomplishment that the council did in terms of tight budgeting. Moving ahead, before we go into general public, there's a couple of things that we're going to move around. One is we'd like to appoint Linda Lassini, and then we will move to Mrs. Teal, and then Assemblyman North, if that's okay. Okay? So we have, do I have to read this here? I have it here.
Got the new one?
Resolution number 17-289, appointment of municipal court administrator.
Just wait, I have to give you the old.
Be and it resolved, and it is resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Washington that Linda Lassini, 10 Powell Avenue, Rochelle Park, New Jersey, is hereby appointed municipal court administrator to fill the unexpired term effective August 21st, 2017, and expires on December 31, 2017, or until a successor is appointed and qualified.
Okay, I just have to read this appointment letter. To the council president, the council of the Township of Washington, please be advised that I am respectfully submitting the name of the following citizen for your advice and consent. Linda Lassini, Municipal Court Administrator. Term expiring December 31, 2017. So what I'd like to do is swear you in. Okay, you can hold Bible. Please, your left hand on the Bible and raise your right hand.
She can always happen to it.
Okay. We know that you're here to hold it. I, Linda Lassini, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of New Jersey, and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same and to the governments established in the United States and in this state under the authority of the people, and that I do solemnly swear that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform all the duties of municipal court administrator in the Township of Washington in the County of Bergen in the state of New Jersey to the best of my ability, so help me God. Congratulations. Linda is also the court administrator in Rochelle Park, so she is a hard worker.
Very.
Yes, congratulations. Welcome.
So now that we have gone through the formality, may I have a motion, please?
Congratulations, good luck.
So moved.
Need a second?
I don't think we heard it.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
What do we?
No, I just said we're making a motion for the official,
Oh, second.
okay.
Councilman Calamari?
Yes.
Councilman Casio?
Yes.
Councilman Sears?
Yes.
Councilman Ullman?
Yes.
Council President Bruno?
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, Mr. Steele? Just so you're here to give a 10-minute presentation for stormwater management?
Yes, I am. I'm going
Thank
to try
you.
to beat the 10 minutes if I can for you, because you want to go home tonight. Yes, this is my usual annual dog and pony show for our municipalities. We do this as part of your permit because we have to get 10 points this year. And part of the presentation will get you, my presentation will get you 3 points towards that goal. So let me just go through this quickly. We gave the presentation last year. In 2004, the state NJDEP promulgated new rules for stormwater management. And this was a new thing in New Jersey. They try to minimize land disturbances, reduce impervious coverages, provide different types of infiltration basins and things like that to clean the stormwater runoff from our parking lots and our infrastructure. In 2004, the state issued all the municipalities in New Jersey a general permit. Just like we get permits for the state, they issued you a general permit. It was renewed in 2009, and they postponed it at least till 2018 as they work on some new rules, because next year we'll need to get more points, and it's more difficult to get the points as well. So what did the general permit do for us? Well, the general permit says that you can now discharge stormwater into the streams and rivers of the state. What you did for the last 150 years, you did without a permit. So now they issued a permit, and now you have guidelines. So you couldn't dump gasoline after 2004, I guess, in your storm drains. I guess they presumed you could do that before, but obviously we didn't do that. So what it does is it basically controls what your discharges are allowed to be, and what you can do, what things you can't do, what you can do. And these are really common sense goals. Part of that was for yourselves to promulgate new ordinances, of various types of things to reduce pollution into the water courses. If you go to Home Depot today and you buy fertilizer, you can't buy fertilizer with phosphates in it anymore. You get nitrogen and you get potash. The middle number is 0 because the states have done away with that because it was a problem with algae blooms in rivers and streams, things like that. So they've reduced that. You can't buy that type of material anymore at your hardware store. So what did the permit authorize you to do? Well, you can discharge into the ground, into the waters of the state, uncontaminated groundwater, say from your sump pump or something like that, or footing drains around your house. You can discharge irrigation water into the storm drains. I guess it comes off your lawn. You can wash your car in your driveway, and what comes off your soap and things like that can be discharged into the storm drain system. You can discharge your swimming pool. When you want to clean your pool out, you can discharge it into the street gutter line. It will run down into a catch basin into the streams. That's permissible. You can wash your streets with a street sweeper. You can wash your fire trucks if you want, out in front of your firehouse. There was a little problem at first, but you couldn't do that. They allowed it with rule change. I know. You can wash the salt off your DPW trucks, DMF trucks in the wintertime when they come back. You'll have the hose off your salt that's splashed on the fenders and the vehicle itself. So those are some of the things you're allowed to do under the permit rules. What you can't do is you can't discharge industrial waste into your streams, of course, from landfills and recycling facilities. There's some very big recycling facilities in the state that take a lot of materials. They have a separate permit they go through with the state. So we can't do that as a municipality. And you certainly can't discharge domestic sewage into your storm drains, which makes common sense. Also, they've asked you to do certain things to notify the public of all these efforts. Things like having public education, such as newsletters, which you do through mailings to the public, handouts at public events like your town day or, say, a fishing contest. And we have stormwater management displays as well. We posted it at Memorial Park as well as in the town hall here. We label our inlets with little caps that say, don't dump materials, this goes to a stream. We've mapped all your storm drains and your outfalls in town. We're supposed to check the outfalls for erosion. We're trying to come up with an illicit connection program to prevent people from hooking their sanitary sewers up into the storm drains out in front of their house. Obviously, that's something I always look for. We have a management of your street sweeping activities in the wintertime to sort of clean up any de-icing chemicals and materials off the streets when you can. You have training for your DMF employees. They have their booklet. They have the document. They train the employees, et cetera. They go through all this stuff, et cetera. And that's part of the rules now for you to do that. You also adopted your ordinances in 2006, which talk about pet waste. You know, picking up your pet waste, not feeding wildlife, geese. People do feed geese. They feed ducks. They don't want you to do that anymore because they want to attract that waste onto your fields, et cetera. Your rules also talk about disposal and dumping of materials into the storm drains, putting covers on your dumpsters and your garbage cans so when it rains you don't get water that flushes out these devices into the ground. You mapped your outfalls. I said mapped your outfall locations of your storm drains. If you look, we pave streets. We change up the catch basin heads on them. We use these, we call them echo heads. They're about $500 for the whole setup. It's kind of expensive, but you're doing that now. And all your storm drains as we pave, that's required under the law. Sometimes at low points, we don't do them because these devices limit capacity of the storm drains. So at some low points, we've had some flooding conditions. We just don't do them. We leave the old open heads there because we simply can't afford to have people's lawns and their basements flooded. And you've got a catch basin cleaning program. Bill documents the cleaning of the catch basin so that when the state comes in for an audit, he can say, well, here's our list, this is how we're managing things, et cetera. As well as, good housekeeping practices for the DMF, SSA, and training of the employees. So that's pretty much what stormwater management is all about in New Jersey. You have your goals to achieve. In terms of the point system, if we put a display in Town Hall on the bulletin board, you get 2 points for that, which we provided to the Township. If you include the recycling schedule in a mailing, you get 3 points for that. If you have the brochure available on the town site website, your stormwater management brochure from the state on the website, you get a point for that. We get 3 points for my discussion tonight. And if you have a poster display, which we did,
a lot.
you get 3 for the presentation. And if you have a poster which we provided, which is on display at the Memorial Park, you get 2 extra points like that. So those are the initiatives they expect you to do. It's really about public education, me educating you educating your constituents. That's what it's really about. I mean, I think most people know not to dump antifreeze down a storm drain, I hope, or when they change the oil in their lawnmower, they don't do that as well. So that's really what it's about. It's really, I guess, knowing what's happening around you. And that's pretty much it, Council President. Hope you enjoyed that 10 minutes.
So,
Who keeps the points?
Go ahead, Madam Mayor.
No, I was just saying, who is keeping track of the points?
We do.
You
We
do?
have to report all these activities annually to the state. And now we have to report, in addition to your activities, say you have a private townhouse development in town that's got storm drains, et cetera, we have to have them report to us as well, and report that to the state, that they're doing their due diligence as well. So it isn't just you, it's also the private entities that have private roads in town. So we have it all gets reported to the state annually.
Chris, just so you know, all of these have been done in the town, so you can say, go back to your office and say they're all done.
We will, we always
Yeah.
we do that normally, yes.
Yeah.
Good.
You bet your obligation.
So
Next year,
we scored 11 out of 10.
Yes.
yes.
Okay.
The next year, you need more points, yeah. You made it.
Is there carryover for next year?
No, it isn't. It's
No
not like you're
carryover?
thinking. No, it doesn't work that way.
Gentlemen, any questions?
Yes.
Yes?
Mr. Statiel, thanks for your discussion or your presentation. 2 questions. Are you aware of any shortfalls in our current ordinances that need to be addressed that talk to stormwater management?
The ordinances were provided, actually, the model ordinances were provided by the state to you. So we really took the model ordinances, we sent them to the county, they vetted them first, and then you adopted them. So you really are in compliance. It's really the enforcement side. It's kind of difficult. Make sure you have garbage can tops in your garbage cans, and your dumpsters are closed, things like that.
And the second question, in the DMF yard, there is an open sewer in the
Storm drain, you mean?
storm
Right.
drain, pretty much in the middle of the yard.
Pretty much.
Do you see that as an issue? And if you do, what would your suggestive corrective action be?
The state has come up and audited us and has made those inspections, and they walk right over the basin. We've talked about it. The thing to do is just to try to avoid any oils dropping off the truck, hydraulic fluid, anything leaking. That's what you try to avoid going into the storm drain. Salt wash-off's going to happen. Or the trucks come in, they wash them off. That's going to happen. Aside from that, there's not much you can do. You could put a treatment device in for about $25,000, which would be underground, and it would do separation, and it would be something you got to maintain. But you're not required to do that really at this point. But we're here. We did tour the DMF building. We toured the town as well with the state. They do come in. They do check us once a year.
All right, thank you.
And
Mr. Bruno,
Bruno?
may I ask one question? I'm sorry, Marion, go ahead.
Okay, I was just going to follow up on that on a correlated note, and it's something that's resurrected itself on the project tracker. We need to do something about the salt storage, because that is tied into the stormwater management. And I just recently contacted Mr. Statiel about trying to work with Bill Lawler about what we can do to get us through the next winter, which, if you believe the Farmer's Almanac, is going to be pretty bad.
Okay. Mr. Sears?
Mr. Steele, when Waste Management was in operation, the trucks that were heading down Pascack Road were leaking tons of fluid out of the back end. Now, does that fit as a safety issue for the township?
Yes,
Or-
that would be covered in the stormwater management rules, right? It's part of the district.
So how would that be enforced against Waste Management?
I think you would probably notify Waste Management in writing if you see it. I would copy the state office, the state enforcement office, because there's an enforcement officer. Again, the woman comes up and sees me. She's out of enforcement out of Chester. So I would say, yes, that's something, you'd cite him a letter we're giving you a warning, but you'd also copy the state, because the state really is the hammer on that. Not so much we aren't, but the state really is. And I bring them into the picture.
Because there was a gentleman here last council meeting that the smell from these trucks were unbelievable coming down Pascack Road through the township, leaking fluids like no tomorrow.
Well, the odor control would go to the state solid waste management. The leakage would go to stormwater management. And that's right, I would pin the donkey there and make them come out, let them stop the trucks, let them, do their due diligence.
Do you have a contact list? If this thing ever goes back in play again, we should have that available.
Yes, we have a young lady out of Westwood that does the enforcement, actually, so we have her name.
Mr. Bruno, that's one of the things that when we went to Hillsdale to testify, the DEP hearing, most of us brought out the effect of all the stuff leaking out and the smell and everything. And I firmly believe that's one of the reasons why they didn't renew the permit yet. And they referred it to the county, the BCOA. It has to do with the truck routes and the environmental issues and the fact that there are a lot of empty facilities in the state of New Jersey that are not being used as such. So, Mr. Tom, that's one of the main points that we used for not getting that permit renewed, and it hasn't been renewed yet. At least we're pretty much in shock.
I think that's an excellent control. It's a different group out of DEP, so and that goes for any truck you see go by that's got stuff leaking out of it. It's just all the same. It all goes in the storm drain. So you do have your own surface waters in town you want to protect. You want to make sure there's fish in them. You want to make sure the kids can fish. Sure. So anything you can do would be a great thing, and I would bring the DEP in to do your job and force. That's what you're there for.
Thank you.
Bob, one, maybe two questions. You said we're putting up a poster at Memorial Park Field. I don't know if you've seen, but a lot of us have seen poor drainage on that field running off into the street. Is that supposed to be covered as any of our stormwater management, that type of drainage, or is it just more hazardous chemicals?
Well, if you have geese, say, the geese population is living on the field, yeah, there's all that geese waste flushes into the drain. So the idea is really to get rid of the geese, if you can avoid the problem.
Okay.
Your fertilizers don't have phosphates in them anymore, so that's a good thing. So that it's sort of self-compliant anyway, yeah.
And just as a quick follow-up to that, I'm pretty sure you attended one of the committee meetings on Memorial Field.
Several, yeah.
Did anything about stormwater drainage come up?
Yes, that's been talked about.
Okay, great.
Yeah, that's been a concern with them, because
great.
we're losing topsoil when it happens as well, which is,
Thank you.
good.
I only had one question, but I think Mary Ann answered it because she said that everything that you mentioned we should be doing is done.
Yes.
So that's, I don't have to put it on my project tracker. Thank you so much. Appreciate the presentation.
Anytime, any questions, of course, council, please always
Thank
ask me.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening.
Gonna walk out.
Okay, we have Assemblyman Orth, who's here to discuss some grant writing activities with us. Thank you for coming.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me. Good evening to everyone.
Good evening.
I'm going to bring up with me Miss Marlene Casey.
Can we just make it official for your name and address?
Assemblyman Robert Orth, 73 Howard Drive, Old Tappan, New Jersey. And Miss Marlene Casey.
618 River Road, New Milford.
Well, first of all, thank you for letting me come to speak with you today. This has to do with grant money that's available that was just brought to my attention with a short window deadline, October 6th. I brought Ms. Casey with me because she is my resident expert. I've been in politics long enough to know that I'm an expert on nothing, and you bring people who are to help you and assist you in doing the appropriate things that make life easier for our constituents. I'm just going to go over briefly some of the projects that would be covered under the grants that are available, and then I'm going to let Ms. Casey speak more on how the grants work, how the money's been distributed, and how we can access it. So things that would be covered under the grants that fall under this October 6th window would be a road resurfacing and reconstruction, intersection improvements, drainage systems, pedestrian and roadway safety, safe walking routes to and from schools, sidewalk installation, bikeways, bridge replacement, and/or rehabilitation. Now, I've had some success with my colleagues, Senator Cardinale and Assemblywoman Schepisi, in getting grants for several other towns. They would be Oakland, where we got a roadway, $100,000 for a roadway that's adjacent to I-287 in their town. Then we also were successful in getting $500,000 for Upper Saddle River for some drainage issues and some bridge work that they had going on up there. That was just recently given to them. Within the last week, we had a grant that was given to the municipalities of Westwood and Emerson for a joint drainage issue of $370,000. And so sometimes when you catch a wave, I want to continue doing that. We have an opportunity here. There's a large amount of money that's available in this pool of money for Bergen County residents, and I want to try to access it for towns in District 39. I'm going to let Ms. Casey discuss some of the intricacies of the grants and how we need to access them, and then I'll answer any questions if I can, and she will also. Thank you.
I want to explain to you the nuances of the new money that came to the Transportation Trust so that you'll understand your eligibility and what you might be able to access it for. When the Transportation Trust was refinanced by Governor Christie last October, they created several new categories under the annual municipal aid program. You used to apply for a road to be resurfaced, and there was a cap on the amount of money that Bergen County towns could receive because the pot is the same for every county, and it gets divided by the number of municipalities in your county. Then your application is scored, and if you get a score of 80 points, that gets you to the money question. And if you get beyond 80 points, you can get as much as you ask for your project, if the project makes reasonable sense to the engineer who reviews it. I know that because I worked for the Department of Transportation for 11 years reviewing grant applications for 5 counties in northern New Jersey. They haven't changed their system or the point values. I know what an application has to look like to be funded, and I can tell you how to make something that you may have tried to get funded eligible. There are a lot of different quirks and hooks that you can add to an application. For instance, if you've done something and it hasn't been funded, if you've had a lot of accidents in the area, the next time you submit the application, you must supply all the copies of the accident reports, and that will put you over into the money column. So there are a lot of tricks to the trade, as they say. The pot of money that used to go to municipalities for road resurfacing was $17 million. That pot has been increased to $28 million every year for the next 8 years. In addition, there was a pot of money called the discretionary fund, and that was for a project that was a true emergency, as we have in Oakland where a bridge is falling down, and as we had in Upper Saddle River where the bridge deck was cracked. So that's a true emergency. If you have something like that, that was a discretionary application, meaning at the discretion of the commissioner and the governor. And that's where you had to get your application with a lot of pictures to back you up. And now there is a discretionary fund that includes all of the things that Bob just listed, including drainage, bikeways, bridge replacement, and under bridge they call culverts small bridges. So if you have culverts that have to be repaired or replaced, they are eligible under that category. And I heard your engineer talk about drainage, different areas and so forth. That would probably fit under the drainage system category. There are also pedestrian safety and school safety projects where you can get flashing solar lights for the areas where school children walk, flashing crossings for where pedestrians cross a main thoroughfare, or any place that you've had accidents with pedestrians involved. So these are areas that you might want to revisit. The deadline for these applications is October 6th, as your engineer spoke to you about an application that he's doing for you for a roadway. But I suggest to municipalities, since this money is there and everybody else is going to ask for it, you might as well sit down, put your wish list together, and if you wanted to do an application in every category, that's allowed. And they do not compete with each other. They only compete against those applications submitted in that category. And these are not a matching application. They will give you 100% of the construction dollars if you make your application a worthwhile application. So my suggestion to you is start thinking about the problem areas that you have and make these applications. It's a way for you to help your taxpayers and get back some of the money that Bergen County sends to Trenton every year. And this financing will be in place for the next 8 years. So you should put together a long-range plan of your needs and space it out over 6 or 7 years and start asking. You might as well. Everybody else will. And it's just like the lottery. There's the old saying goes, you can't win it if you're not in it. Well, you guys need to be in it.
Additionally, through this process, there is support letters that are written with the applications, and our legislative team is prepared to sign on to any of the applications that you deem necessary for the municipality. Along with that, Ms. Casey did mention, if you're not in it, you can't win it. Quite frankly, we get no money for schools. We have the possibility of having increased development in the municipality, whether you want it or not, and that's going to create infrastructure problems, and it's going to create increased populations in the school, and you're not going to get any additional money for that from the state. So our only chance to get something back from all the money we do send to Trenton, for all the money that's in some cases misspent in Trenton, this is an opportunity that I thought was worthwhile to bring to your attention. I've given the administrator a copy of that wish list she has.
It just was handed out.
So my thought is, hey, go home and sleep on it tonight. Have a closed session. You can chat about it. Write a few things down. I'm sure everybody's got 1 or 2 or 3 things that they know of, that they've heard from your constituents, that would be appropriate. Let us help you do that. I would feel fulfilled, to be quite honest with you, as a legislative representative, to be able to say, hey, we did this for you, and we're happy that we were able to help you and your constituents. So that's the main point for us, and I'd be happy to answer any questions if I may.
Also, my phone number is on the top. If any of you have any questions about anything that's on this list or about a project you might have and you want to know if it would qualify, please feel free to call me, and I'd be very happy to answer your questions.
Questions, Madam Mayor?
Well, I could just say that we did apply for a discretionary grant. We thought it would be like a needle in a haystack, because they are basically, but we did get $155,000 for Mountain Avenue, which we were pretty much shocked. But you're right, you have to be in it, to win it.
Exactly.
Okay, and I was very interested in the safe routes to school because of the parking situation at the high school and how we would have to align the church driveway with the school driveway in order to get a small light put in, just during the morning and afternoon, and then they could expand the parking lot because that would leave a lot more room. The school wasn't interested, but I think it would be, a good thing for what Tom.
I would think the intersection would be the prime thing.
Yeah.
It would cost us millions of dollars for the taxpayers to try and fix that. And if there's money available from the state, I mean...
Councilman, we've had discussions in Trenton together in the past over this.
I know, we left Trenton with $1.3 million.
This is a prime opportunity to revisit that, and I think a lot of the plans are probably still down there. And as you know, we had a great conversation with now Director Case, who was down there, and I have a good relationship with him, so if that's something that's in your bucket list,
Oh, it's in the bucket list. It's been in the bucket list for years.
why don't you discuss it with your colleagues, and
I'll be more than happy to work with my colleagues on that.
What happened at the time was we met with Mr. Fox, who was the director, and then not a month or so after we left, he left.
Yes.
And then they had an acting person for quite a while, so we would have to go back and look at that.
we need to strike while the iron's hot here.
Right.
Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes.
Ms. Casey? Thank you. I'm wondering, because actually I had heard a presentation from you years ago, actually the first time I met Mr. Sears when I was acting in a different capacity. Do you have any experience with grants for fire trucks or the like?
Yes, I do.
Okay, because the township is in the market for at least one new vehicle. And can you maybe tell the council a little bit about your experience with that?
Okay. I've been asked over the years to do applications for fire trucks. They come out from the federal government in February of each year. They're from FEMA through AFG, American Firefighters Grants. The same grant also covers vehicles and equipment for volunteer ambulance corps as well. And I've been successful so far in municipalities that have asked me in Bergen County, getting 4 vehicles. We're waiting now to see about a truck for Harrington Park. In January of each year, the rejections for applications that have failed go out, and the fire chief from Harrington Park has not received a rejection letter on an application that we put together for him at the end of last year. And the announcements are now starting. So every day we speak on the phone, Jesse, did you get your letter yet? No, I have no letter. Is that good? Yes, it's good. The longer it goes, the more chance you have of getting money. But I have gotten fire trucks in the past for Bergenfield, for Lodi, Garfield, and Glen Rock. And Harrington Park will be the 5th. And I'm pretty sure it's coming. They keep telling me if they get the truck, I'm invited to the washdown and I get to sit up on the seat.
Mallory, how about firehouses? Construction?
There are no grants for firehouses,
Okay.
nothing anywhere.
Anybody else?
Anybody that
Nope.
tells you that they can do it is taking you to the bank.
Yeah, Bob.
Oh, I just have one other question. What
on,
happens
Peter.
if you were to hook up with the fire truck, like, for example? Is it to the advantage to try to put 2 towns together? I mean, you get 2 trucks, but based on, say, population, like, would it make it better, or? Like a town of Bergen County just bought 2
You
trucks.
can't put 2 towns on an application.
You can't?
But if you have mutual agreements with other towns, that helps your application.
Okay, well, we do have mutual.
Share services with other towns?
Yes.
It'd probably benefit if we put 2 trucks on there,
No.
'cause, no?
Not unless we had,
No, because the applications are marked, scored, however you want to say it, by the demographics and the statistics in your town. And what it is all about is how many fires your men respond to, how old the equipment is, how many
Bingo.
hours they practice, how many, yeah, well, that's what everybody says, how many hours that they spend in training and so forth, and whether you have a full complement or whether you're short, and a lot of other things, how many times the vehicles have been repaired and so forth and so on, and how many fires you have in a year. And the other thing that's most important to the feds, and I don't understand why, is whether or not your NIFTA reports are up to date. And if they aren't, you can lose out on a vehicle, even if everything else scores perfectly. So when an application is done, their reports must be filed and up to date.
Ask about,
Hold on,
Yeah,
Rosa.
it's cool.
Rosa, hold on one minute, please. Peter, you wanted to
Yes, please. I'm a little disappointed to hear you say that there's nothing for firehouses, because I took this out of this weekend's Pascack Press, where for Montvale's firehouse, they say the $4.5 million project was mostly funded through grants. So I was hoping to hear you say quite the opposite of what you just said.
The only thing you can do is get a hold of a congressman who will write it into another bill as a pork barrel item, and that's very much frowned upon on the Hill now.
Okay. The other thing is, and this question is for the two of you
There
or
are-
anyone down here.
No, there are things that you can put into a firehouse that can be funded, like if you have a space for the OEM in the firehouse, all of the equipment, the radio equipment and so forth, and the equipment
That's
for
probably
the
what that
OEM
is.
officer can be put into the firehouse with a grant, but that's separate.
Okay.
You asked me, the question was about fire trucks or the firehouse.
Right.
And the answer to that is nothing for a firehouse.
Okay.
But the internal parts of the firehouse can be
Yes.
applied for.
Yes.
Okay,
And,
that's interesting.
My second question is, you may or may not know, we currently don't have a grant writer. We're looking into hiring.
I didn't realize that till I walked in and heard the discussion.
Okay, we're
about-
looking into hiring one, but in a general question, would we have any chance of getting in applications for October 6th, not currently having a grant writer on
Yes.
board?
Yes.
Okay.
We're
And,
doing our applications for our clients right now.
Okay, and, I don't know if you knew we were looking for a grant
No, I did
writer?
not.
And if you did not, if you want to throw your hat into the ring, I don't know if this is an appropriate time to say, schedule an interview or something like that, but,
Sure, I'd be glad to come back and be
Well,
interviewed.
what you can do is the way we've been doing it, you can submit all your information to the administrator and the mayor, your references, what you've done, et cetera, and then we have a subcommittee that will sit down and interview you and go
Am
through
I
the
allowed to
process.
use the mayor as a reference?
Sure. You might not
Please.
want to, though.
No, she's a good woman. We sat together on the Bergen County Planning Board for 12 years.
No, but I think whatever you submit, you can send to them, that's fine.
What I'll do
Okay.
is, Marlene, I will contact you by email tomorrow and give you a copy of what we had actually advertised in the newspaper.
Okay.
And we only had one response of someone who saw the ad, another company who I had heard about, I contacted, so we can certainly have you provide the,
Okay. Well, to whet your appetite, ask me what I charge for applications or anything, any way you want
So
to.
we should tell you what we pay.
That's probably the
It's the
same
same
thing.
as what you charge.
You got it. You got it. I do not
Very
charge.
frugal here.
We do not charge for applications, ever. Not even for fire trucks.
So I think the
And
best
if
thing,
I'm
I'm sorry,
successful on a
I
fire
think the
truck,
best
I
thing
don't
for you to
charge
do
at all.
would be to submit what it is
You
you
got
do,
it.
and we can sit and talk this way. We
Absolutely.
can understand what your process is. I think that would be great.
Absolutely. I would be very happy
Okay.
to submit.
Anybody else?
No,
I just, before you go, I just have a few things. One is, you threw out an October 6th deadline, and then you said something about there's money for the next 8 years.
This year's round, the deadline is
It's
October
October
6th.
Okay.
And they're telling
still
us, they're telling us they will be reviewed and they will be announced right before Thanksgiving.
Okay, so, and one of the other issues I don't see here, or maybe it is, but we have, we're approaching our sewer system, and our lines of 40, 50 years old. Are there grant money to repair sewers and sewer lines and enhancements, or how's that work?
Well, first of all, DOT is not the place for sewers. This is infrastructure above
Above ground?
surface.
Okay,
But there are low-interest loans to repair or replace your sewers from the DEP.
okay. Okay.
It's a
Anybody-
revolving loan, and they lend you the money at 2% interest, I think, for 10 years.
Okay, great.
And it's something that would have to be done with your engineer.
Someone know? You,
No, I just wanted to say thank you. I was going to say if you were going to discuss more about Marlene's participation in your grant writing, I was going to remove myself because I'm not here for that. I'm only here to let you know about the grants that I thought were.
yeah, as soon as we get the information, we'll push it along, obviously, and sit down, for sure. Great, appreciate the time.
Thank you very much.
thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Pleasure
Thank
seeing
you.
Marlene. Thank you.
Okay, before we move to public, I just wanted to make a few announcements before I forget that Sue gave me. One is we have flu shots September 20th, 10 a.m. to 12 noon, Senior Center. Again, flu shots, September 20th, 10 a.m. to 12 noon. Shredding event, October 21st, 9 a.m. to 12 noon, DMF building. Again, shredding event, October 21st, 9 a.m. to 12 noon. And last, we have rabies shots?
Rabies, yeah.
Rabies clinic.
Rabies clinic, November 4th, 9 a.m. to 10:30, DMF.
Do we get points for the recycling event?
Okay, I'm gonna make a motion, anything else? No. Make a motion, move the public,
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Calamari?
Yes.
Councilman Casio?
Yes.
Councilman Sears?
Yes.
Councilman Oman?
Yes.
Council President Bruno?
yes. Anybody like to address the council?
Tony Napoli, 447 Prospect Avenue. Picked a good night to come here. You guys had some good speakers in here. Thanks for reading my mind. I was going to say, could ask about grants for sewer line, you know, is that on the wish list? So it's good to hear you can get low interest loans at least, you know. Couple of things. My condolences, Councilman Callahan, on your loss.
Thank you.
Mary, and thank you for putting that meeting together last week.
No problem.
It was helpful. I know scheduling is difficult with residents and professionals and you guys, so I appreciate that. I know at the meeting, I asked anybody taking notes. I think Madam Mayor said you were gonna take some notes.
I had notes from the last meeting, yeah.
Okay, are you gonna issue them like the last time that you met?
Yeah, I will do that.
Okay, I appreciate that. Also, you guys handed out the test results, the email that you got on the sensors. That was really good. Could we get that on letterhead formal, that the tests were complete and send so we can keep it in our packet?
What did you get?
Well, Mary Ann handed,
got an
you weren't
email?
at the meeting. I can give you,
Well, I just.
it's an email, it's the email notification, the test from Mission Communications.
No, but I know, but so you're looking, I mean, what do you want? I know you want documentation.
Oh, I
You
want something on
with the
official
township
town
letterhead?
letterhead, yes, stating that, you know, this was installed.
That,
and
yeah, that's what I
tested.
usually do when we come to some agreement, we send it on.
So will you issue that on?
Yeah,
okay.
I'll be in conjunction with the report and the meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, and just so you know, Mr. Napoli, I had reached out to the company to ask them to provide it to the mayor, because that's really the best source. And somebody must have been on vacation, because it was sent right after you asked for it, and it was, I just got an acknowledgement today that they saw it and that they're gonna get something.
All right,
Okay.
good. As long as I know it's coming, that'll be helpful for sure. I already did that. Okay, so we had a pretty productive meeting. I saw the backflow valve, definitely not usable. The gauge of rubber is too thick, you know, it was a monstrosity, really big, you know, I didn't even think it was the right size fit on the pipe anyway. So then we started having further conversations about us getting off the grid and new pipes being installed and things of that nature, and a sewer pump, okay, if you will. And I'm sorry, Mr. Steele left. I grabbed his ear for like 10 seconds, and he told me that he is just mulling it over. He's looking at the environment. He's got to go there with the other engineer and look at it. But the point is that I sent you all photographs of the, it's called a sewer lift system, okay? I don't know if you all got a chance to view it right after the meeting that we had last week on Forest and Lafayette. It is a sewer system. It looks like it's a septic tank with a pumping system. It has electrical feed going into it from PSE&G. It's got a generator, and it's got a backup gas line into it, okay? So coincidentally, just happened to be, we have a spare spot on that corner that's town-owned, okay, on Calvin and Ridgewood. So if we had to elevate the sewerage upgrade, you could do it, okay? And quite frankly, I think you'd probably clean that corner up and make it even more desirable to look at with some shrubs around it and stuff like that. So, you know, I'm going to keep on pursuing that. I hope, you know, Mr. Steele and his, the Director of Engineering take a look at that closely, and I'm anxious for feedback on Also, you know, we talked about second opinions about the whole situation, and I don't know if you had reached out to anybody else in another town, or even on comment on the sewer lift system. I'm looking, you know, I think we were talking about someone can provide an objective view with no conflicts of interest. So looking, I know you mentioned our past sewer engineers. I don't know if that's going to work for us. So it's hard to critique a guy who put the sewer systems in 40 years ago. So I think that should still be on the table, looking for a second opinion, and getting this all squared away, just to make sure everything's, we thought of everything that we can think of, and get some validation.
Mr. Bruno, may I
Yes,
just
go ahead.
on that issue?
Yeah.
Well, that's one of the reasons Vladimir was brought in. He isn't, I mean, he's a.
He said he works for the town.
But
You know,
it's
still-
another engineer.
You know, I don't know how objective that is. You know,
So-
if it reports to, you know, if Mr. Steel reports to him, you know.
I think the comment, what they're saying is somebody who hasn't been involved in the town to look at it independently and just say, yeah, this is what's happened. You know, I've seen it before, I haven't seen it before, and it's not a working relationship, subordinate type situation. I think that's what you're saying.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, that's not, yeah, we can do that.
I mean, it's just a totally independent.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that would,
Period.
that might abide the, whatever they come up with, or because they're gonna come up with an evaluation of the alternatives, so
Mhm.
it seems like that would be the time to do it.
Yeah, well, it's good validation of any sort of opinion, either way, you know? Whether it's Westwood, you know,
Mhm.
or another neighboring town, or someone like that. You know, if we don't get anywhere, you know, we're not giving up. And I know you, Mr. Cassio, you said you had a connection, or you spoke to our congressman. I would love if you can bring it up to him, you know, see if there's any pull that Congress may have. If we run into some sort of snag about, you know, getting a new line in, putting it on a separate grid, finally fixing the problem. I'm looking to take it up a notch if nothing pans out, if we will. Interesting point, Mr. Statiel, and I talked about this last week. We got off topic at the meeting. I was talking about storm drains, and he was talking about storm management here. And I said, you know, I don't believe our inlets in our cul-de-sac have been cleaned out since I was there. And they're pretty bulked up with a lot of trash as far as leaves and stuff. And I think Madam Mayor said you were going to look into it. Okay.
Yeah, they're working on, they have a plan too, they're going out to, so they'll be at your area too.
Yeah, I haven't seen him, I've been there 19 years, I've never seen him clean those inlets out. But, you know, it's part of, that's what, you know, like I said, I'm here, you know, two good speakers here bringing that up, and I think that's an important thing to look at. You know, I'm just looking for an update. I don't know, any comments you have on the pictures I sent you of that sewer system uplift?
I don't know anything about it, so, I mean, I saw it, so I just want to just go back a minute. So there's a couple of things that I'll follow up on too. Is one, you talked about this pump station or the lift system that you'd like on Calvin and Ridgewood, that's right now on Forest and Lafayette, correct?
Yeah, they have
You
one in
wanna see-
Forest and Lafayette.
You want to see how that would fit into your cul-de-sac.
Well, my proposal, okay,
I understand.
thinking out of the box, was to get us off the grid and extend the line from Howard and Ridgewood to Calvin and Ridgewood, where there was
Okay.
no extension there.
I understand. I'm just trying to, I'm just trying to see. And then you mentioned you want a second opinion, and you also would like the documentation on letterhead,
Yeah,
so you have it documented. So I just wanted to go
Yeah,
through.
that's correct.
So we okay down
All right.
there? Okay.
All right, thanks much, I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Good meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else that would like to address the council?
William Ferrara, 2556 Cleveland Avenue. I just wanted to amplify what the mayor said about the program at the library for Eclipse. It was really great. There was over, I didn't count them, there's at least 300 to 400 people there. Most of them very small. And they had quite a good program for the kids, and it was really a fun time. The other thing I wanted to ask a question, there was an article in the Pascack Press that went through the salary ordinance, and I don't know if the mayor commented on it because I wasn't here from the beginning, but it indicated her annual salary is $39,000 a year.
Yeah, she commented on it.
I think that's an error.
Yeah.
I think they should be told to correct that.
Yeah, I think they're here tonight to discuss their article. And they also said the councilmen were making a lot of
Right.
money, too.
Right.
I didn't get my check
Yeah, I
yet.
just
It's
picked on the
per
mayor
year,
because it
not
was
per
the
quarter.
opposite.
Don't hold your breath.
We get
It's
dental?
per year, not per quarter.
That's per year, I know, yeah. You have to, if you misread the ordinance, well, multiply instead of dividing, you get that answer. The corrective action plan for the financial from the auditor, is in response to the audit, is that going to be online? That you could look at it?
Is it going to be
and see
what?
Will it be online on the website to be looked at? Is that part of
I think
the
it is.
plan?
It'll be attached to the signed resolution.
It'll be, excuse me?
Attached to the signed resolution.
Okay, thank you. Over a year ago, I had asked a question of Mr. Poller when he was here, and I don't know whether the current attorney has an answer about the YJCC, since they had been closed for over a year, that they should have gone back on the tax rolls, and he said they did, and they had been sent a tax bill. And my question is, was the tax ever collected?
I can answer that, actually.
Yeah, go ahead.
The taxpayer challenged that, and the court ruled in their favor that they should not have been taxed.
Okay. On Memorial Field, I'm just wondering if there's any report going to be given on what this committee is doing, or has done, before whatever resolution, I mean.
I could give you an update on the committee. It's been a struggle because, you know, you have the people for the turf and the people for natural grass. But the last couple meetings, they did focus on the common things that we would have to put in the field that everybody would agree to.
Mhm.
And I was not able to go to the meeting we had the other day because I had to go to another meeting. But I'm going to be getting the results of that meeting, and they have a proposal of some sort, but I didn't get it yet. So we'll see what it is.
Will that be publicized?
Oh, yeah, after, you know, get it.
Well, you mentioned turf. I mean, there was an overwhelming rejection of that proposal.
Well, that's the
so-
issue.
Yeah.
It was overwhelming, you know, 70-30 against turf.
Right.
And the people, you know, how it is, and, but at least I have to say, the last few meetings, they focused on just things that, not turf and grass, but just things that we should do there anyway.
Okay.
So we'll see what happens when I get the report.
So one of the things that I remember, one of the concerns has been the overuse of the field, that if you overuse it, it's going to wear out, whether it's grass or
Well,
turf.
just let me interrupt for 1 second. That's one of the things we were looking at, was how could we reduce some of the utilization, you
Well,
know,
I
on
don't-
other fields like Sherry, for
Okay.
example.
I don't know whether you remember, but last September, Mayor Berkner came here and made a request to have his cheerleaders combine with our cheerleaders, and during that presentation, he did invite us to have our football program at his field, and the grass fields, the new fields that they had, and you can go look on whatever he said on the tape. So I would suggest that part of that reduction of usage be consideration be given to call him and find out if they're really serious about that type of a proposal. I wondered, were the test results for the for soil testing done at Clark Field? Did we ever receive any results of those tests?
Yeah, I've got that like for 5 weeks. I haven't seen you for like 6 or 7.
Right.
Yeah, I can give you a copy, stop by.
Okay.
I got it from the state.
Yeah, council.
Okay.
The guy from the county hasn't
No,
called me
because it
yet.
wasn't done by
Okay.
us.
so you
So
shouldn't
Mike-
have a copy.
We didn't do it.
It wasn't done by the town, it was done.
No, I
I'm-
went and got
I'm
it
just
done.
saying,
Yeah, he did
if
one
Tom has a
independent,
copy, you should have a
yeah.
copy for our files, I'm saying.
Yeah, but it was paid for by the charity, so, okay.
No, it was actually paid for by Tom.
Oh,
But-
okay,
But Tom, can you give us a copy so we have it?
Absolutely.
We have it in our file,
very
Yep.
good.
okay?
Tom, if it's the $20 that they charge for the tests, they told me that that's a household test. That's not a test that's going to reveal any type of contamination. I don't know what it revealed, because I know
When
you
I talked
found...
to the guy in the county, I explained it to him, he said, this is the test you use.
Okay, fine.
Yeah. And he was
Uh,
supposed to call me to sit down to review everything.
Right.
I haven't gotten a call back from him, but I did meet with Billy in the DPW to show him the recommendations from the state.
Okay. Then the other thing that led into this, Mrs. Osmond asked a number of questions of Tom, or the council, and Tom said he would answer, with respect to the Friends of Clark Field. Who were they, where did it come from, and so on and so forth. And she asked him in a public meeting here at this desk. And I don't think she's ever been responded to. I don't think anything's
Well, I
ever
did.
been... Did
I
you ever
sent her
respond?
email.
My point, Tom, is that if you're going to ask, if people are going to ask questions in public at public meetings, the response should be come in public meetings. And I know you probably did answer to it in an email. So that's my point. I think you should take that into consideration. That's, and,
Mr. Farrar?
yes.
I did call the auditor after all that came up, just to make sure, because friends of, Parkfield, who are they, whatever.
Mhm.
And he said that, because I was concerned about where the money goes. Does it go directly to the tree,
Right.
And he said that the Friends of Clarkfield, all the funds they raise stays with them, and the town should do nothing with it, stay away from it.
Mhm.
However, when they're ready with their plan, what they're gonna put on the town land, then they have to get my approval. And they gave us a drawing of where each tree was going,
Right,
what kind of
right,
trees were going.
right.
So that's the answer.
I mean, what they did was great, but I just think the process was,
Yeah. Well,
suspect,
no.
or potentially
Well,
suspect, that's all.
I did
What
check.
kind of suspect, like, what do you
Well,
mean
the
by
process
suspect?
that went through, you...
Are you
had a
saying that it
creation-
was
No, it
criminal?
was- No, it wasn't criminal. I wouldn't say anything like that.
Oh.
What I'm saying is, it was discussed openly here at a meeting. You presented it, the idea. Mr. Calamari and you went along with it. The council never discussed it as whether or not the council felt it should be done. It should be a council project. The money was sent to the library, made out to the Friends of Clark Field, which may or may not be a legal entity. The library got involved, and it just seems to me that it was like a seat-of-the-pants operation rather than, and it's a very worthy operation. It should have
Well,
been
it's
done
the
up in
same
front.
operation we used for the heart machines and the AED machines for the ambulance corps when we
Okay,
raised all that
well,
money for
well,
them.
I
So
think
there
that
was
you-
no difference in the
Yeah,
process.
I think...
I think it's the publicity of
Yeah,
it.
So to answer your
Oh.
question, because we looked into it, it was not a town-sponsored program.
Right.
So that basically relieves the town of administering it.
Okay.
And it was a private sponsored program from Friends of Memorial Field.
Mhm.
There was, I believe, a separate bank account that was opened by people. And again, our involvement in the town and the council was the approval of the plans and the trees.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, I agree, we just had to make sure that we all understood what the process was, and in the future, when these things happen, I'm
Okay.
sure we'll have
Okay.
a better procedure so we understand it.
Okay. And then the final thing was the discussion that you had, the swearing in of the new court administrator. I went back and I watched the meeting where you presented awards to the Girl Scouts for the work they did in the Clark Field and the two chiefs for the day here. And one of the things that has to do with the sound system, because unless you're right in front of one of these things, you can't hear them. And when you're standing over there making a presentation, I think the sound, somewhere along the line, somebody has to be brought in to look to see how we can upgrade the sound system. Either that, or you have to move in front of here, because the other thing that was happening was people were jumping up, taking pictures, and you couldn't see the kids anyway. So it was.
That's why today when I did the oath of office with Linda, I tried to get
Yeah.
close there, and I tried to like really
Yeah,
talk loud.
yeah,
Because
because
Rich, the guy from WCTV who does all this,
There's
he
got to
said,
be a
you know,
portable
we-
mic somewhere.
You know,
Anything
we'd
else?
have to have a hand mic.
Anything else?
That's it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We'd have to have a hand mic.
I don't mean to
Council
rush you.
President, I have
Yes,
a copy of the Rutgers report. I'll give it to Sue to have
okay,
it
great.
sent out to everybody.
Okay, thank you.
Sue, this is my original, so.
Anybody else?
Thank you.
Sir?
Hi, John Snyder for the Pascack Press.
Your address? Address?
My address? 606 Chestnut Street, Township. Can everyone hear me okay? Okay. I want to just first extend my condolences to your family, your loss.
Thank you.
You're welcome. In our current issue of the Pascack Press, I wrote several stories, one of which was an update on your Ordinance 1710 regarding pay for town employees and other people the township pay. I have been informed reliably that my reporting was in some small sense incorrect, and I apologize to each of you for any heat that may come your way from constituents who may question what is going on here. So I wanted to explain very briefly. I read the ordinance. I was thrilled to have it written down for me to eliminate any possibility of error. And where I see certain pay is to be payable quarterly, I took the step of multiplying by 4 to arrive at what I believe to be the correct pay. That is, turns out to be an annual disbursement. So I apologize for my part of, for the miscommunication to readers and to you as well. And I'm very happy to have this opportunity to do so. I'm not really used to speaking in public. I'm much more comfortable behind a word processor or on the phone. I've spoken with many of you for stories, and I'm gratified at how open and eager this body has been to help me in my reporting, to help readers understand what's going on in this really dynamic, interesting township. And Madam Mayor, you left a voicemail with me today that I regret I couldn't get to. I was covering the eclipse at different places around our townships.
That's okay, I figured you got it, though.
Oh, yeah, I got it. But I wanted to let you know that I did receive it and I wasn't avoiding it.
Thank you.
So
I think we'll probably have to clarify that, too. It's like that amount, but it's paid quarterly, paid quarterly, not that, like we get that amount quarterly.
Right.
Yeah, so.
Well, now that I know that, I'll pass that on in my next story on the subject. I guess that was it. I just wanted to again thank you all for supporting our reporting. We're really proud of the work we're doing, spreading the good work being done in the township by so many people. We have news and opinions that we're happy to bring to readers. And if anyone has a news tip or a strong opinion about some public affair, please contact me. My name is John Snyder. It's JOHNSNYDER. My email address at the Pascack Press is pascackpress@thepressgroup.net. That's pascackpress@thepressgroup.net. We are thrilled to cover the township and always look forward to getting it right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Appreciate it. Thank you.
I was really looking forward to my big check, but I guess I'm not.
Yeah, I had to bring back that flat screen TV.
John, not that they're not worth that much.
Rosa Dunbar, 423 Colonial Boulevard. I want to speak about the time limit. I know tonight it just went off, but I wanted to find out is why Mr. Bruno, Mr. Cassio, and Mr. Ullman, when you came into office, you changed the time limit. The time limit is 5 minutes, correct? But if someone interjects or you ask a question, you lose time. And it shouldn't be like that. Right?
Would you like me to answer you?
Yeah, I'm waiting for an answer.
So
Will I lose a minute?
I didn't even start yet. Now I did. So, no, I did not change the time limit. The ordinance states 5 minutes
Right,
per
right.
person. I've been trying to allow extra time for people without sticking to a 5-minute limit. And I haven't really been doing 5 minutes. I've extended it, and maybe that's why we're here till midnight, and I get a lot of grief from everybody here because we're here late. So I try to listen to what people have to say. I try to have conversations, fruitful conversations back and forth, and I've gone over the 5-minute limit with many people, and almost everybody. So, but I did not officially change anything in the ordinance. I've just been allowing people to talk because it's the time.
What I'm trying to say is, I know it's the 5 minutes, but if I ask a question and a couple of people interject up there on the dais, I lose time.
No, so
And it shouldn't be.
So you don't lose any time because I'm not cutting you off in 5 minutes, is what I'm telling you. So right now you've spoken for 1 minute and 9 seconds, and I'm going to listen to what else you have to say. I'm just explaining to you that I will not cut you off in 5 minutes. I haven't cut anybody off in 5 minutes.
Okay, all right. Now, I want to get to safety. Talk about the, especially crossing the streets here. Now, I'm going to get to the shopping center. Now, I just want to say what they said in the paper here. It's regarding crossing in the crosswalk. A 2010 law requires motorists to brake to a full stop for pedestrians, full, dead stop. It says here right in the paper. Instead of simply slowing down and going behind you or cutting you off in the front. And that's what happens in the front of this shopping center. I have the light, I can cross the street, but they're turning on red and they want their time. They want to get through. They don't care who's in the crosswalk. And the town should do something about that. I don't think you should have a right-hand turn on that corner coming out of the shopping center because it's too dangerous. And you're going to lose a lot of people that way. It hasn't happened yet, but it's going to happen. They do not stop when you are in the crosswalk. The minute my 2 feet are in that crosswalk, they're supposed to stop. They're going in front of you and they're going in back of you. That's not the way it should be. And I don't know if the police are not really getting on this. It's part of the law. They should give these people tickets. I don't care if they live in town or not. And it's the same thing with the library. You step off the curb, there's no crosswalk. In Bergen County, Washington Township is the only town that doesn't have a crosswalk by its library. Now, I can understand the lady across the street from the shopping center. I think her name is Julie. In June, you put a separation with yellow so she can get out her front door because people park in her walkway, and what's she going to do, climb over the cars? So if you can do that for her, you can put a crosswalk by the library. Because the minute I step off that curb, by the stop sign, they don't even stop at the stop sign, they just go right through. And something has to be done. The police have to do something about that too. Because people are not doing what the law says they should be doing. They're supposed to fully stop before the stop sign, and if somebody's standing there looking to cross the street and you're 2 feet in the course past the curb, they're looking to run you over. So what are we going to do about that? This is going on for years.
So
why doesn't the town put a crosswalk there?
So let me just understand where you're talking. You're talking about Finity and
Finley, right,
Sussex?
and Woodfield Road.
So the crosswalk going north and south?
There's no crosswalk.
No, I know. Are you asking?
There's a
north?
sidewalk.
Are you talking about from north and south? So in other words, Sussex, that goes the corner of the library?
Right.
Heading north?
And right, correct.
Okay, I'm just trying to find the location.
Correct.
that you're talking
And when
about.
people are parked up to the corner on Finley and Woodfield Road, and they're coming around the curb, you wind up getting killed because you got no place to run. You're walking right in front of a car.
There's nothing there?
No.
Do we have
No.
nothing? Okay.
No sidewalk?
Okay,
On
and
the side.
so let me go to your other point, the, coming out of the shopping center.
Right
Is
here
that-
on this
yeah,
corner.
Is that, is that by again, by Finity or the main light?
No, the main light, right
main
here,
light?
right here. They don't even stop for you when you're in the crosswalk, because they gotta make their right-hand turn to go north on Pascack Road. Now, I'm sure you people don't wanna lose me in the street.
No.
You'll miss me at the meetings.
So, Madam Mayor, will you talk?
I'll check on
I don't
it.
know what we do with
I don't
crosswalks.
know
If
about,
they don't
you
exist, I don't know how that
stopping a
works.
right-hand turn coming
Well,
out.
I don't think you can do
That's
that.
a county road, I don't think that we have the
No, but I
jurisdiction
don't
there.
think you can make,
But you can petition the county for that.
I don't know if you can stop
Because
people
it's
from
it's
making
too
right.
dangerous. That's the only crossing area right here that people can cross and go across Pascack Road.
Yeah, but they can push the button and,
You got all kinds of grants coming in. You have this wonderful woman here giving you all kinds of information. You can have a sign there saying you cannot run down people in the crosswalk.
Can we look at the Sussex and Woodfield, just out of curiosity? I mean, being that
I'll
it's
check all this with
by
the
a
captain
library, which
tomorrow,
is a public
and-
area?
I'll check with the captain tomorrow.
Okay.
I mean, you have to do something about that.
Okay.
And plus the library. See if you can put, with a grant, because it's not a county road, the town can put, if they can put a separation for the woman that lives across the street from the food town, because she desperately needs that there, because the cars park in front of her walkway
Right,
and she
you're talking
can't get out.
You're talking Finity again now, so.
I'm talking about Finley, right. On Finley,
Right.
there's no crosswalk, and across Woodfield Road, there's no, if you want to cross the street,
Okay.
and they got the nerve to yell at you, walk on the grass, there's no grass over there. What, they kidding? I think the police have to be a little bit more tougher in this town, because people are not stopping at that stop sign on Finley. They slide through, and they come right from Pascack Road, and they shoot down.
Okay, we will address, we
And
will speak.
please look into it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else that'd like to address the council?
Just one more comment on that.
Yep.
If you're coming down Manhattan
Yep,
to that light,
yep,
you can't make a right on red in front of the
right,
gas
correct.
station. So I don't see why we couldn't, again, assuming the captain looks at it, why coming out, we couldn't restrict the right going up Washington Ave? Pascack Road, excuse me.
I don't know that it's, if I might, I don't think it's that people should make a right altogether. It's that when they see a person in the crosswalk, they're bound by law to stop, dead stop.
I understand that, but in my opinion, listening to one person's comments, it's not so much that, I agree, they probably aren't respecting the crosswalk, but the fact that they can make a right on red is just allowing them to, push through and cut before them or cut behind them, as opposed to waiting for the green light and, someone having
You
the,
hit it right on the head.
thank you. I try to listen. I may not say a lot, but I
So
try to listen.
we'll bring that up.
And they have a way to get out, because at the northern part of the parking lot, you can get out and go north.
Yes.
Yeah.
I see no more hands. May I make a motion to close public?
Motion to close.
Second.
Councilman Calamari?
Yes.
Councilman Casio?
Yes.
Councilman Sears?
Yes.
Councilman Ullman?
Yes.
Council President Bruno?
Yes.
There's the Giants game on tonight. I wanna remind you. The rest of the
Okay, adoption, second reading. Ordinance 17-10, an ordinance under Chapter 55 of the Code of the Township of Washington, setting forth the rate of compensation and manner of payment of employees and certain independent contractors in said municipality for the year 2017. Resolution 17-277, authorizing second reading and opening a public hearing for ordinance 17-10. May I have a motion, please?
So moved. Second.
Councilman Calhoun?
Yes.
Councilman Casio?
Yes.
Councilman Sears?
Yes.
Councilman Ullman?
Yes.
Council President Bruno?
Yes. Would anybody like to discuss the salary ordinance, as we would call it? I see no hands. May I have a motion to close public hearing for ordinance 17-10?
So moved. Second.
Councilman Calhoun?
Yes.
Councilman Casio?
Yes.
Councilman Sears?
Yes.
Councilman Ullman?
Yes.
Council President Bruno?
Yes. I have a motion to adopt ordinance number 17-10 at second reading by title.
Motion.
Second.
Councilman Calhoun?
Yes.
Councilman Casio?
No.
Councilman Sears?
Yes.
Councilman Ullman?
Yes.
Council President Bruno?
I just have a question, Mary Ann.
Yes.
The issue that we had with the, not an issue, but the way we classified the salary for the attorney versus the contractor, that Lou May's comment.
Number 11.
Yes.
So, does this have to be changed to reflect that, or?
No, it's the way it's handled through the budgeting and the accounting process.
So we're okay? We don't have
Yes.
to change it? Okay,
Yes.
so there was a $28,000 deferred amount sitting on the balance sheet that I guess next year we have to include in our budget, because we were over budgeted technically, according to the salary versus what we paid as the contract hours. So Lou has $28,000 as a deferred asset sitting on the balance sheet right now, or a deferred liability that next year we would have to budget for that additionally.
I'm not aware of that.
Okay, it's there, so, okay. Okay, so yes, Sue.
Thank you.
Ordinance number 17-11, an ordinance imposing a fee for issuance of replacement animal license tags. Resolution number 17-278, authorizing second reading and opening a public hearing for ordinance number 1711. Motion?
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Calhoun?
Yes.
Councilman Casio?
Yes.
Councilman Sears?
Yes.
Councilman Ullman?
Yes.
Council President Bruno?
Yes. Is there anybody who would like to discuss ordinance number 1711? An ordinance imposing a fee for issuance of replacement animal tags, licensing tags. I see no hands. Motion to close?
So moved. Second.
Councilman Calhoun?
Yes.
Councilman Casio?
Yes.
Councilman Sears?
Yes.
Councilman Ullman?
Yes.
Council President Bruno?
Yes. Motion to adopt ordinance number 1711 at second reading by title. Motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Calhoun?
No.
Councilman Casio?
Yes.
Councilman Sears?
Yes.
Councilman Ullman?
Yes.
Council President Bruno?
Yes. Ordinance number 17-12, an ordinance under Chapter 55 of the Code of the Township of Washington, setting forth the rate of clothing allowance of officers and firefighters of the fire department in said municipality for the year 2017. Resolution number 17-279, authorizing second reading and opening a public hearing for ordinance number 17-12. Motion?
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Calhoun?
Yes.
Councilman Casio?
Yes.
Councilman Sears?
Recuse myself.
Councilman Ullman?
Yes.
Council President Bruno?
Yes. Does anybody like to address the council regarding the ordinance number 17-12? I see no hands. Motion to close public hearing for ordinance 17-12.
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Calhoun?
Yes.
Councilman Casio?
Yes.
Councilman Sears?
Recuse.
Councilman Ullman?
Yes.
Council President Bruno?
Yes. Motion to adopt number 17-12 at second reading by title. Motion?
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Calhoun?
Yes.
Councilman Casio.
Yes.
Councilman Sears.
Recuse, I'm a firefighter in town.
Councilman Omen.
Yes.
Council President Bruno.
Yes. Individual resolutions, consent agenda. All the following items have been determined to have unanimous consent of council and will be enacted in one motion. Should any item require independent consideration, any council member may have such item removed from the consent agenda. Resolution 17-280. Resolution 17-281. Resolution 17-282. Resolution 17-283. Resolution 17-284. Resolution 17-285. Resolution 17-286. Resolution 17-287. Resolution 17-288. 289 was done. Motion?
Motion.
Second.
Can
Yep. You have a question?
we talk about it?
Sure. You can remove it, talk it, whatever you want.
Can we pull 280, the cap for the audit?
The approval, the corrective plan?
Yes.
Okay.
So I guess my question is,
Wait, are we talking about this now? How does that work?
Yeah, well, we all motion, we did a
Oh,
motion.
okay, I didn't know if you were gonna go through the vote on the consent, other items first, okay.
Well, Mike wants to pull off the 280.
Okay, fine.
Are we pulling it, Michael, or just answering questions for openers?
why don't we pull it and we could vote on the rest and then we
Okay.
can vote on it.
So we'll pull 280, hold it. Everything else, gentlemen?
I'm okay.
Motion? Oh, we motion.
Motion second,
all right,
roll
just
call, sorry.
roll
Councilman
call.
Calamari.
Yes.
Councilman Casio.
Yes.
Councilman Sears.
Yes.
Councilman Omen.
Yes.
Council President Bruno.
Yes, and that was for all with the exception of 17-289, which we did, and also 17-280. So back to you, Michael, 17-280.
Do you wanna move it first, or
Hmm?
you wanna move it first?
I'm sorry?
You wanna move it before you discuss it first?
Have a motion.
I thought we moved it. Okay, I have a motion to move 17-280, approval and acceptance of corrective action plan 2016 audit.
So moved.
Second.
Okay.
Okay.
So I guess my question is the implementation dates for some of these, especially the payroll checking account. So there's a $7,000 balance. It should be brought to zero. This was the report is dated June 28th. I would have to imagine that the issue was raised prior to that. And we have a December 31st resolution. And I guess I just don't understand why it takes 6 months to reconcile a $7,000 balance. And
I can't speak for Ashley Marone. She said the other dates. I think the other dates were pretty aggressive. Most of them have already been tackled. This one, for whatever reason, I'm not sure. I think it's because Ashley would be the one to be doing it, and she hasn't really gotten involved with the payroll accounts. And it doesn't need to be done before the closeout of the books. So, I don't see her as a slacker. I just think that she just, this is a pretty,
Be careful what we say, as I'm always told.
yes, you're right. Well, I think that was a positive. I won't get into her performance, but I have every reason to believe that, she wasn't, it was designed to make it doable, and there's no reason that it needs to be done before December 31st. I'll put it that way.
sure, there's yes, there is a reason. We don't know what that amount is. I mean, there could be large credits or large debits. The net balance is 7,000. We don't know what is supporting that. So I do think that there's a need. I mean, I think there's, in my opinion, in my professional opinion, having worked at a bank for an extended period of time, having worked on balances and reconciliations, there's, the net balance is not the issue, it's what's contributing to that. and, you know, letting it go and saying we just have to resolve it before the end of the year when the books close out, I don't think is the proper approach to dealing with this issue.
So I don't know what, without her being here, I don't know what you want to propose, if you want to move the date up. That's certainly, I guess, your prerogative.
She's on vacation week.
No, she isn't. She's going to be in tomorrow.
Oh, I thought you said she wasn't coming in this week.
No, no. Okay.
I think this balance has been sticking around for a while, if I'm not mistaken. So, I mean, it should, you know, again, there's just so much in these reports that just need to be cleaned up. And I know
Why don't you check
she's
with
not
her
putting the
tomorrow?
hours. I had asked about the hours to be increased. I don't know if she can or she can't. But I think, you know, I mean, there's $7,724 sitting in some account that we don't know what it's for. And we should push the date up,
You
so.
want to check with her tomorrow?
Well, I think,
Maybe a reason.
Jenna, I think action has to be taken tonight, Sue, if I'm correct with your time frame. So, I mean, it's up to you. If you want to push it up, I would say no sooner than September 30th to give her some time. I would say August 31 might be too harsh, too much of a push. I don't know that it's going to take very long. It might take 2 hours to do it.
Well, I know she's been working on it. I mean, so why don't we put September 30th, Mike?
So,
Unless you want to push it up early by August.
no, you know what? This is the date that she's presented. It's a date that,
Right.
you know, people have had a chance to review, and apparently everyone's comfortable with it except for me, so I'll deal with it.
I will communicate to her, Michael, and speak to her tomorrow and ask her if it can be done sooner, and I'll report to you. These are just outside deadline dates.
You know, understood.
I know she is working on it.
I mean, there's another one, there's a clearance that needs to be done in the courts. You know, I'm assuming that has to do with some type of reconciliation, finding number 18.
Well, that's actually, the woman who we just hired today will be responsible for that. She's inheriting that. So, I know she's been working, and in fact, the arrangement is a minimum hours per week, and she knows she's got to tackle this, so she's prepared to resolve this. This is not out of the finance office. This audit the comment finding number 18 is to be dealt with in the court system.
Some of these items we've carried over for years.
I think there was only one repeat, actually.
You know, but the procedures, you know,
I thought there
I
was
mean, there's a
4.
lack of procedures that just seem to pop up year after year after year. And we put them on the action plan. I guess we approved them last year, but we don't get much action because they keep popping up.
Well, just on that note, there was only one, as I recall, I think I have it in front of me, one repeat comment together regarding reconciliation of general ledgers or the bank accounts. And I was told in the exit interview last year it related, and maybe it was just primarily, and I didn't hear the rest of it, related to the recreation department. I sat down with the recreation department, even though I'm not the finance, the CFO, and showed them how to do the reconciliation. And as soon as that was explained to them, they've been done, and the recreation department is not the problem. It's other departments. I believe it may have been the police department, it may have been the court. And Ashley's getting on it. So as far as the repeat comments, I know, for instance, ones that I saw last year, they needed some fixed asset inventory updated. Again, without the CFO, I handled that myself. There were certain other things that we did. So it said even status of prior year comments, recommendations 1 and 4 of 2015 were resolved. The remaining are, okay, so there were 2 more, I guess.
Yeah, so let's just go back. So number 1, purchase orders was there for years. Number 2, general ledgers reconciled to subsidiary ledgers, been there. I know because I wrote about it. I'm not sure about the grant reserves, but I would assume that was there, number 4.
And that was, I don't know if that was there.
Okay.
The fire prevention fees, that was a repeat.
Which one, Tom? 3? Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Huh?
That's number 6.
6.
6.
Yeah, 6.
It's been,
And that's already, the procedure's been changed. I now review all their mail. Yeah, I think you're right.
I mean, there's a bunch. You know, it's not just a $7,000 one. I know because I look at this, and this is one of my big things here. You know, number 5, the building department prepares its monthly bank reconciliations. Number 8, the rec department. Again, I think there was a voucher problem. Number 7 last year. Number 10, the police department reconciliations. You know, it just.
No, I mean, Ashley, in my experience, is responsive. To me, it just stuck out waiting till December. And we see in these issues, reconciliations, the comment reconciliation a number of times, which to me, you know, that's sort of it's an essential control in any finance organization, is that reconciliations are maintained, up to date, and, you know, can be documented. So, you know, if it's being addressed, and that's how long it takes to get addressed, then that's what it needs to. But, you know, I am certainly hoping that come December, these issues are resolved and they're closed out, and we don't have to worry about seeing them again in 2018.
When you talk about the November 30th implement, or these dates that they're going to be implemented, some of these things you can't change until the next fiscal year. You can't do anything with them.
What do you mean?
I'm just looking at 11, you know, that we're talking about the attorney and how he's paid. She has an implementation date of November 30th, 2017. You can't do that because you already passed your salary ordinance in your budget. So
If I might.
You can't change the structure.
No, Steve, the issue is a matter of changing the way it's reflected on the budget. It's currently, there's salary and wages for the fixed rate.
Right.
And then the rest of it's called another expense. It should be above in salary and wages. It's just a matter of recategorizing it, and that's what Lou May said.
Exactly.
You have to make, no, but the way.
Can you do that after the 30th?
Yes, you can ask the state to amend your budget or to reclassification, reclass. Yes, so she plans to do that.
So she plans to do that because
Yes.
you're allowed by the state to do that. So instead of the actual salary being 70, whatever it is, you're gonna just roll in to the next year?
Move up any line items that were additional items to be paid to Mr. Pollard up into the salary and wage.
Okay. I guess my difficulty with that particular item is you set a rate, okay? And then you have an unknown rate. Do you have to overinflate that particular line item in coming years to cover what may or may not be paid?
It's
And how does
no
it get-
different
and
than
how do
you
you
do
get
it now. It's just where it shows up as salary and wage, or it should be in salary and wage according to the auditor versus other expense.
So
So it's
now-
just a matter of where it shows up.
So, like in most other municipalities, you're gonna start running a range. Is that right, for that particular item?
I don't know that
Because
other
of-
towns handle it that way.
If you look at most towns, I'll just use Westwood as an example, because it's the easiest one. They have a range of payment on a particular employee, 50,000 to 70,000, okay? Are we gonna have to make that line or a line such as this, where we have a known factor and an unknown factor? The base would be, the lower number would be what he should get in a salary, or the employee should get in the salary, and then on top of that, more?
I don't know that it's gonna affect what you do with your salary ordinance. You've already talked about that. I don't know that it's particular to Mr. Pollard at
No,
all.
I'm saying anyone that we have, any independent contractor, where we have a base, okay, because that's so-called an employee base, and then unknowns on top. Do you have to fund it with your maximum expectation?
Well, I don't know. I guess if you wanted to set up your salary ordinance that way, we could. We talked to Mr. May about that and figure
You
it
know,
out.
we used to have it in extra funding and then the base.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to figure out how you're gonna do that in the future.
Well, nothing's guaranteed in a salary ordinance. It's just, it's an amount. So it can say, it doesn't have to say, it still can be worded the same way. The budget is still the budget. You're budgeting it based on the rate of $135 per hour. You know, it's just really where that number appears on the long document that we file with Trent. That's all the only issue they had with it. It shouldn't be an expense, it should be its salary and wages since it's paid through the payroll system.
Okay, but, so, Mary,
Yes.
maybe this is an Ashley question, I don't know, but maybe I'll ask Ashley. So basically, on page 6 of the report, Exhibit A, there's a balance sheet, and on the balance sheet, it says over expenditure of appropriation, A-3, $29,612, and $29,612 is the reclass for the salary and wages out of consulting contracting into salaries for legal. So right now, that's hung up on our balance sheet. So next year, somehow, I have to talk to Lou, we have to do something with our budget to include another $29,612.
No. What that was, I'm pretty sure. Remember, I think it was November, maybe October, it was November. I started asking you to transfer money, and you guys.
No, it's not. I asked him. I know what this is. This is the over expenditure that was reclassed to salaries for $29,612. That's sitting on the balance sheet now. So we don't. I mean, we can discuss it with Ashley. I'm not really sure how to remove it, but it has to be removed.
What page is it?
6. Was it 6? Hold on. What'd I just say?
Thought you said 6.
Yeah, 6. No, yeah, 6. A-3 on the bottom, 29,612. And if you go to A-3, the schedule 29,612, you're going to see was the over expenditure for the year. So somehow that's hung up on the balance sheet, accounting-wise. That has to come off next year, and I think we have to budget next year another 29,612 to get it off. But I'm not 100% sure how that works.
Yeah, that's definitely something you should discuss with
okay.
Ashley.
So anyway.
Bob,
Yep.
I have one comment. Mary Ann, most of this corrective action plan falls between you and the CFO. Is that a fair statement?
I'd say very few are mine, but yeah, they're mostly the
I was going to say,
finance.
between the two of you, could maybe you do a sheet like you've started for us on the ones that are future dated, and maybe we could get monthly reports as to where they stand.
Sure.
That way, you know, Michael and the rest of our concerns will get a monthly update as to, and if we see something heading too close to December, we can raise it in October or November.
Sounds reasonable.
Put on the project track in it, so do a separate project track.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway, where does that leave us?
So it's motion to pass.
Okay.
So I think it's been moved, so I think it's a vote.
Councilman Calamari?
Yes.
Councilman Casio?
Yes.
Councilman Sears?
Yes.
Councilman Edelman?
Yes.
Council President Bruno?
Yes. Okay, may I have a motion to,
Take 5.
yeah, we have to adjourn to conference first, and then we'll take 5.
Okay.
So, a motion to adjourn to conference agenda?
So moved. Second.
Councilman Calamari?
Yes.
Councilman Casio?
Yes.
Councilman Sears?
Yes.
Councilman Edelman?
Yes.
Council President Bruno?
Yes. 5-minute break. Move on to the conference agenda. We have a couple of things, and we also have the tracker, which I guess the project tracker, which Mary Ann has done some work on, which is nice. So let's go through the agenda, and then we can quickly go through the tracker and maybe get out of here at a reasonable time tonight. So first, one that I guess I omitted. I'll blame Sue, but I omitted it. There was the county road paving that Peter was asking for an update as to where we were. Is that right, Peter? Just so I understand.
Yeah, I just had a few residents ask me, you know, can the county roads within the town be expected to be paved anytime soon?
The county roads?
Yeah, you know,
Well,
Washington, Ridgeway.
Actually, on the list that they have out there, they have like every road in the county on it. So I have a feeling that, you know, they have it on there, but I don't know when they'll get to it.
Okay.
I was told actually
September.
I was told actually that Washington was on the list. but nothing's gonna get paved in the town unless that agreement was signed. So, I don't know, Mayor, did you have some reservations about it?
What
Well,
agreement?
a lot of mayors do
What
that.
agreement?
Well, you approved at a meeting recently, a resolution authorizing the mayor to sign the road resurfacing agreement between the county and the township. And I'm not so, I don't believe the mayor signed it yet, so we won't get any roads paved until that agreement is tendered to the county.
Is it signed, Madam Mayor?
But well, there's a lot of problems with the agreement, and a lot of mayors haven't signed it. But I haven't looked at it recently, so I'll read it again, but I know that it's a problem.
Like I said, I just had some people ask me about it.
I do know that we had run it by Mr. Poller and Mr. Steele, and I know, Janet, that some of the concerns have been brought to the county's attention, and Mr. Steele gave his blessing to the agreement before the council voted on it. So I don't know, I think Sue may have the agreement for your signature.
So we're waiting for a signature? Is it, Madam
Yeah,
Mayor?
the mayor said she'd reconsider it, I believe.
Okay. Good, Peter?
Yes, thank you, Bob.
All right. I have the review contract for police chief for closed session. We were going to have a closed session tonight, but Mr. Paul's not here, and he's probably most familiar with the contract. So I think we all have copies. If not, please read for next closed session to discuss.
And just remember that you had asked for a summary of the contract versus other contracts. If you don't have that and you need another copy, I can give it to you. Do you recall what I'm referring to?
No, I asked.
I do.
Somebody asked for it. I don't remember who it was, but somebody maybe Dr. Cassio.
Yeah, I won't.
No, I think you were the one that requested it to begin with, but I can send it out again.
Please.
Okay.
Okay, acquisition of demilitarized equipment, 1033A program. Dr. Cassio.
Yeah, this is the federal program that the congressman's working on us with. I handed out a couple copies, I'll get more. But basically, it kind of goes through what the programs is. Again, we're not getting a tank or anything like that. They have all types of goodies. Again, I think we did the resolution, if I'm not mistaken, right? We didn't do that yet?
No, we need a resolution from this.
Okay. I got a couple sample resolutions from, I think, Demarest or Creskill. I'll get them to Sue, so maybe next time we can get on that.
I think the one you did give me had the demilitarized vehicles and everything. That's what the difference was. You were
Yeah.
looking for one more towards, you were talking office furniture and stuff like that.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
you have to put that one down there anyway. Again, it says demilitarized, so they took all the hardware out of it. But if we can get a vehicle, a Humvee or something, who knows, we might need one for some low-lying area in town. Remember when we had the floods in Sandy, a lot of parts of town were underwater. We might not qualify, but that's what they classify as demilitarized,
A lot of towns have gotten those vehicles.
A lot of towns have them. So again, I'll get the correct verbiage. I'd like to have it on for next time, so we're at least in the works for some of those things we've already paid for.
What I also like about this is rescue equipment, portable generators, tools, emergency equipment. It has a lot of goodies.
Our OLC is down in the joint Fort Dix McGuire Lakehurst base, so it's right down, literally down the turnpike. It's not that far. We have to meet with some of their people to get the ball rolling, but it doesn't seem like it's a very, very difficult thing to do. Other towns are utilizing the program. I think we should too.
I agree with Dr. Cassio. I'll be more than happy to work with him on this.
So I will put it on, Marion, we'll have to put it on the project tracker somewhere. Sue, we'll find a place for it, okay? 1033.
I thought the last time you talked about it, I remember giving comments about the form of resolution, and Ken was going to do something with it.
I think he was.
Ken and I did speak to him, and then I took the ball in and trying to call it.
Wherever.
So that's where we're at.
Okay, so we'll put that on the project tracker then. Okay, zoning board, vacancies. I'm not really sure where we ended up on this. Did we contact people?
I
And
gave you the list.
The list is there.
So this is in there.
What'd they say?
Right after our conference agenda, the next page. Yeah, that one.
Oh.
Looks like we have 3 interested for 2 positions, is that correct, Sue? Basically.
Yeah, because, right now Saeed wants to remain an alternate.
Right.
And so that will leave you with 2 regular member slots, and you still need that 1 alternate slot. So you need an alternate number 2 and 2 regular members.
So we need 3 people.
We need
3 people interested?
1 alternate and
2 regulars.
2 regulars. Did we talk about George before? Are we allowed to talk about this?
Who?
Can we talk about these people or no?
I don't think they're employees.
Huh?
That I would defer to the attorney.
I mention names, I get in trouble.
You mean
So,
the
so
zoning
did we,
board?
did we speak about George before?
You mean about the zoning board member?
Yeah, did,
This
okay,
was the list that you got in the beginning of the year,
okay.
and then we
Well, they
went out
have
and
to talk
advertised.
about it, they're gonna.
Okay, so do we need to put this, to vote on this next meeting, or bring names up, or what's the game plan here? We have to have these people, I assume.
If you're interested, we can do a resolution appointing them, and then the oaths.
Well, this was just going out to ask the people that were currently interested or on it if they wanted to serve again.
Right,
I don't
was
think
the-
that included anyone else at the time that, you know, one of us would like to ask if they'd like to be
How'd you
on.
get the
So
residents?
this is the beginning of a
The
list, but it's
residents get on
not
there.
the all-inclusive list.
Are you,
Okay, so let's if anybody's interested to reach out to anybody that is interested, let's do that for next meeting, so we can wrap this up then?
And you can have a
Mr. Bruno,
resolution.
how many people do you have now that you need?
We need 1 alternate and two full-time serving, I think. Is that what we said? Yeah. So we have 1 more alternate to have, and then 2 full-timers.
So if I could just interject, the 2 regular members, they're expiring at the end of the year. Do we know if there's anything before the zoning board at the moment?
I don't think so.
I mean, so personally,
That doesn't mean that there's not applications that aren't,
Could come up soon.
yeah, that are just waiting for one last piece.
Yeah.
okay.
And also, Mayor, is the Golden Orchards gonna be a planning or zoning board matter?
Well, that's another issue. They probably have to go to zoning first.
And that's a big one. That's the one with, the Washington Township portion of the Elwoods, right?
They
Is
have
that
to
right?
get the,
Yeah.
get a variance from the zoning.
And they've submitted substantial papers. It's just, I think they're trying to get everything finalized and complete. They're deemed incomplete, but it could happen any day. So there is some time sensitivity to these appointments.
It's the one where we had the Borders Hillsdale in the township, very complicated.
If I'm not mistaken, last time we also advertised this on the webpage. Maybe for consistency, we want to just use the same wording, but change the date.
That would be up to Sue.
Do we really think, do we think that there are, do we know of current candidates we'd like to approach? Because it seems we have difficulty. It's, you know, there's a commitment on terms of, on the volunteers who sit here to attend the meetings, to familiarize themselves with the applications. And quite honestly, I feel like we don't get a huge response when we advertise. We have 3 slots open. We have 3 people who are interested. You know, I mean, I would propose that we move forward with this, you know, but if we do think, if there are individuals who think that we're going to get a broader group of candidates, then we can wait. I mean, you know, I'm not interested in making work for anyone.
I kind of agree with you there, Mike.
Yeah, I mean, my thinking was coming into tonight's meeting is that we would have the 2 former members fill the full vacancies and have the resident fill the one that doesn't have any former experience, fill the alternate. But if Dr. Cassio thinks he knows
I know at least two people, but, you know, again, one I asked, he's interested, the other one, you know, I
Don't want to shut anyone out.
I'm not sure, so.
If you, you know, you should know though that that application that will be coming is a big job. And if they stay at zoning board for their actual site plan, that, you know, that it'll be a bigger.
Okay.
And they probably will. Most of applicants who go to zoning end up staying there for the planning aspect.
Okay, so let's have final names for the next meeting, and then we can make our resolution, motion, and votes. Yeah? Good?
Yep.
Okay. Number 4, relocation ambulance to firehouse location and DMF building. Peter?
Yes, I asked just to continue this. I didn't know if anyone had reached out to them in an official capacity
Who?
to see if, to anyone from the ambulance or firehouse, or fire department, excuse me, to see if that's something that they would even entertain to be relocated in one new or newer building at the existing firehouse location.
Well, originally, when we went to look at Bethany, the fire chief did call me and say that they would be interested in going to Bethany, but I don't think with all the trucks and things that they have there, I'm not so sure that would be a great location for them.
Yeah, Bethany's done anyway, right? Based on what you said?
Yeah, they sold, but I'm just saying,
Yeah.
they were interested in moving, I guess,
Mhm.
let's put it that way, if you want.
Yeah, I mean, I can't see moving them anyplace else in town, because you're gonna put it in a residential neighborhood anywhere else you move it, at least the people that are next to the existing firehouse. The firehouse predated most, if not all of them, so
No,
they knew
I
they were
agree with
moving
you,
there.
that was my answer.
Yeah.
I felt that, you
So-
know.
So I would just like to reach out to them in an official capacity to say, you know, will the ambulance corps be interested to move to a bay in the firehouse?
Well, it'd be a
And then-
new addition. to
Right,
it.
and then that would give us the room we need up here, like you said earlier, Janet, for the DMF to maybe spread out into the existing
Well,
ambulance
the DMF
building.
approached me too about going there because they would have enough room for the break room and all that
Right.
without us spending all that money and putting on a second floor. The DMF,
Right.
we could keep it one story.
Mhm.
But I know the ambulance corps was very interested in, well, it's too late now, but being on Pascack Road with the presence.
Well, that's done, so.
No, I know,
would
but
they be-
I'm just telling you
Well,
why
I mean,
they
let's stay
felt
to this point.
they wanted to
You know,
move.
Let's
is to have a
reach out to
driver.
them and tell them.
And obviously.
Tom, could you just let me finish? If they would have a drive-through garage, they feel that's very important, so.
Yeah, I think the location is a horrific location for everything coming out of there, quite honestly. I just don't think you could handle it, in my personal opinion. But, I mean, I think, and I'll say it, we said it before, we really need somebody that has much more knowledge in this area than any of us here, to look at all these buildings, to look at all the locations, and you know what? Maybe everything goes there, I don't know. But I think at this point, you know, we just hem and haw and go back and forth, and we really need to understand what's the best for this town, what's the best for these locations, and for these services. We don't know, we just don't know.
I certainly can agree with that, but then let's come up with a plan to start that study sooner rather than later.
We're waiting for Madam Mayor to
Okay, so, yeah.
sign a document, and we're
Consider
ready to
it
go.
done.
I'm with you.
Consider it
I'm-
done.
Okay.
I'm all for it, because otherwise, you know, it's gonna be another year, and I'm
Right.
afraid things will just collapse.
Yeah.
Consider it
And-
done.
And obviously, Bob, you know, I'm sensitive to that location also, and I don't see it happening without putting up new signals that would let the vehicles in and out of there.
Oh, yeah.
And out of
Yeah.
where?
Out of the existing firehouse, putting up
Out of
traffic
Washington.
signals that
It's
they
all gotta do with
they
that
control.
intersection.
Yeah,
It's all has to do with the
it would be,
intersection.
I mean, it'd have to
We
be
can tie
just
it
a
all
big,
together.
a big redo.
Right.
Which is fine, so let's move ahead and see what they say.
Okay.
Yeah, I just want to keep it moving.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, codification due in September, just everybody read, I think we handed out what the suggestions were, so we want to get back to Ken, I guess, by, what do we have, 2 meetings in September?
Yeah.
So have by the last meeting in September, please, if there's any comments, just get everything to him now, but by then he can wrap up and we'll be done. Construction permit time limitations, I think this was a Ken question.
Yeah, that's why I have 9/11.
Okay. 9/11, interesting.
Yeah.
Vacant and abandoned property was also, I assume was that Tom or was that Ken?
No, that was actually me to Ken.
Okay, so that's a 9/11?
Yeah, we can. I gave you a little bit of background, sample ordinance just to review, that we can have further conversation with Ken.
Okay.
So what is that?
We had someone reach out to us, asking if we had anything like this in town, an
What-
outsider.
What, Sue?
An ordinance regarding abandoned or vacant properties. Not so much foreclosures, but vacant and abandoned properties. So Cornelia had gone online, and she had Googled a bunch of things, and then I had called and spoken to Ken. And Ken said that he doesn't think that we have anything along this line, and this again was just a sample from Bloomingdale. He said, we do have a property maintenance code and a lien procedure for mowing lawns and curing defects after notice. So he said this might be something good to consider, or even toughening up the existing property maintenance code. So I think he's looking to either separate or blend, and then we've got the construction. And
That has something to
dumpsters.
do that while we were complaining about a fence, we actually looked to the left of the property and there was a house there that was covered. And Gary actually went there to find out that nobody's been in the house for years and it's owned by a bank somewhere out in Oklahoma.
So just something for you to consider if you're interested, have Ken work on it, and
We want to keep the town looking nice, so no reason to not consider it.
thank you.
Okay. 4, no-knock policy. You, Mike?
Yeah, so a couple of months ago, we had put this on the agenda. We had discussed it. We said, we would table it to see how it went in other towns. I thought it might be a good time to look at it again. I don't know if my specific situation would come under this, but, I was in my yard and someone, just came up to me soliciting work. Not the worst thing, but I don't know if we want people just randomly walking through town soliciting work, property work, real estate, that type of thing. So I thought it might be worthwhile to revisit. And we have a couple of examples of towns that are close by, and perhaps we could refresh ourselves with these.
Yeah, I originally brought that up a couple of months ago
Really?
when people were knocking at my door, do you need a roof? And then at 8, quarter to 9, we're here to, you want to get your chimney swept. And it just got out of hand.
You know what, I brought it up quite a few years ago, probably like in 2012, because Woodcliff Lake put one in at the time, and everybody's supposed to get a permit, obviously, to go around. And recently I found out, there's been more and more people going around without even going for the permit. And they all know they have to go, but they take their chances and go. It's becoming more common than it has in the past. And some towns that have it have said it's successful. I mean, they're more leery to go get a permit because they know they have to not go to these houses, so it's more work for them, and it may not be worth it. So in a way, you would discourage them unless they really have something good they want to propose. So.
Also, I'm sure we can modify it to allow the Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts to do their normal fundraisers. I mean, I think that was Dr. Cassio's concern the last time.
Well, you could,
and you really don't want nobody banging on your door, and that's the latest thing. They come and knock on your door, you want to sell your house, and, I think that's some of the problems that's been going around lately. So I agree with Mike. We really should start addressing this issue.
I agree too. I think we should.
I kind of thought we had something like this, but then aren't the people that come to your house and, you know, they can't come unless technically they have some sort of registration with
They're
the police,
supposed
right?
to check into the police department, fill out the forms, and identify themselves and all that. But a lot of times they don't. And then people call up.
I understand that, but we do have something in place that they can't actually be, I mean, we want to enhance what we have, is that what we're trying to say?
Yeah, but the thing with the no-knock means that, let's say the people come in and get their permits, and they say, they fill out the forms, they do what they're supposed to do. But there are a lot of people in town who don't want people knock at their door. So no-knock means you can't go to the following homes, because they have signed up that they want no solicitors. So those people, the company that comes in or whoever, can't go to those homes. They have to.
So it's house specific versus the whole town? Oh, okay.
Mr. Bruno, may I?
Yes.
Just something to consider, and I don't know where, I think there may be a town that has this. It makes it hard to enforce it when you have this list, and again, it's dependent on the person, you know, the person soliciting, asking for a list. Another possible alternative is to get a decal that someone could have fixed near their door. And that takes the enforcement part of it out of it. You can put a small cost associated with the fee for printing the decal, and then that's not, you don't have to maintain a list. It's a lot of work for somebody to do.
Most of them do
you
the
know.
decals
Yeah,
now,
so if
but
you do the decal, then
you have to have a master
once you have the
list.
decal, you always have the decal. You don't have to worry about a list being distributed. It's obvious when somebody comes
Well,
to
you know, you would have a master list, but those people would get.
Yeah, I've seen those decals.
Yeah, as long as we can put an exemption in for like the local boy.
Yeah, if you
Girl
put
Scout
something on it.
type things.
Yeah.
If you're below this height, you can, you can knock on my door.
Okay, Sue's gonna,
Cookies, we're okay with that.
You can put it on the mailbox.
Sue's gonna ask Ken
Below this height, below this
to
age,
consolidate and put something together
I
first.
think, you know, it's something we should consider.
Okay, so
It's
Sue will,
like the
Sue
third time we've been looking at
will
it.
speak to Ken and he'll put.
Incorporate the decal
yeah.
in with it.
And, yeah, up to now, we haven't been able to really get enough councilpeople behind it, but I think we should try again.
Okay, so we'll talk to him and get it done. I have financials audit, but I think that was really audit/action plan, which we spoke about. So that's okay. So,
We're done.
no, almost. Sorry. I just want to
You
go to my.
can't possibly have any questions on that project
I
tracker.
do want to ask you some questions.
I'm just kidding.
On the project tracker, thank you, first of all. I think it's nice to see everything in a
It's the
couple of pieces of
PT
paper.
project track.
So on the telephone system, I think it's the first page, Mary Ann.
Yes.
You have, I'm not quite sure what you said here. Received quotes for leasing new system for less than maintenance
Too late, we ordered it.
on existing, I don't know what this means.
Well, we currently have a contract with the company that sold us the phone system over 20 years ago. And I used to question it. It was always charged to a police line. And my understanding in talking to the police chief was, oh, that's so that we have 24/7 service if our phones go down. Well, I said, okay, no one's questioning it. It's not that much money. Let's see what. And then we would, going forward, I said, I would need to know what's involved with this phone plan because our phones are awful. So anytime I try to get some information, I couldn't. Well, long story short, I stopped. I didn't pay a bill one month, and I got their attention. And then we started getting.
3 months later, we got more attention.
We got a solicitation for one of their reps, and he spent a lot of time. He came, the mayor happened to be there that day. So anyway, we got this great promotion.
Very knowledgeable.
Great pitch, and it's virtually a no-brainer. We were getting all new equipment and a 5-year agreement, which I checked with Ken, we could do a 5-year agreement. And it's everything included for less than we were paying for 5-day a week, 8-hour-a-day plan for replacing 20-year-old phones.
Will they be able to get us on fiber instead of our existing copper?
Yes, that's one of the things is we're going to get off the POTS line, which is one of the reasons why we have to have two separate carriers for long distance and local. Not only are we going to have the benefit of newer phones, a better voicemail system, caller ID, and better service, it'll enable us to cut down our actual utility
Have they checked to
costs.
see if we're fibered up this way? Because that was one of the problems. There was no fiber optic cable running up here at the time. That's why we're sitting on copper right now.
I don't know if we've gotten to that point, but this phase of it, Tom, in and of itself is, again, like I said, it's less money than we're paying now. We're very excited. I ran it by the chief. He's fine with it. We just have to iron out all the details. I haven't reviewed the lease agreement yet, just to iron out the details. But the mayor has actually signed the purchase order. I mean, the requisition.
I mean, it's great that they're gonna change it, but
Yes.
if we're still sitting on copper, it's just gonna defeat what we spend.
Well, he probably checked it out.
I'm sorry, Bob.
We'll
I
check
don't know
that.
if a new system, I don't know if a new system would even work with copper, but I don't know. Okay. So anyway, this is a new system.
Yeah, it's all good news.
Yeah.
And we're going to hopefully time it all into the same time we do computers and flooring and painting, because I've had discussions with the mayor about possible realignment of some of the offices, and it would make sense to do everything all at once.
Agree. Okay, just moving down. I'm just gonna go down, gentlemen, ladies, in case, if there's anything I miss or you want, just jump in, okay? Mold remediation. I don't think we're gonna get to the DMF, obviously, but there is a big hole in the ceiling which just drives me up a wall.
The purchase order was issued today for that. I
Okay.
saw that there was a requisition, and the next hurdle is just making sure they have the right ladder system to be able to install it.
Okay. The firehouse siding, there's a date and amount, but no PO, so that means it's coming?
No, it was issued. I had to just make sure, we've been using that vendor, I had to make sure we were okay using that vendor.
Birds are gone?
No, we haven't done it
No.
yet. The purchase order just got issued.
No, I mean,
Another family moved in.
We have to check on pricing.
No, so we're moving ahead on that. Today, the purchase order was issued.
Okay, the senior furniture, I know we didn't budget, but we use capital surplus. I mean, do we have the surplus? Is this an Ashley thing?
I think your plan for your capital program this year was pretty aggressive, that you're using most of your capital surplus, unless I think she was gonna go through an exercise of canceling out.
Well, we kept over 300,000. That's the balance we kept in capital surplus, and capital improvement fund was a total of 300. But we also had the 400 in ordinances, which I don't think we used all of that either.
I don't think we used any of it, did we?
Yeah.
I don't have it
We
with
have
me, but no, remember
have
the
enough.
chart that had the capital
Yeah, no, I
plan
know.
and what we were gonna draw down from the capital improvement fund? We basically zeroed that out.
No, we had two funds. We had the
Capital surplus
the
and capital improvement.
What we said was we'd keep 300,000. There was a total of, I think, 5 or 6, and we said we'd keep 3, everything else goes. Because we took 200, and we used the 200 in the budget, in the line item budget, we had to do a certain percentage of capital, remember?
Yeah, you said.
So we said use the 200.
And we
then-
still have
then-
ordinances
And then the
to
rest
cancel
stays,
out.
right, and then
Yeah.
the ordinances. Anyway.
Bob, before you get off that one.
Yeah.
It says tables need to be replaced. Can someone refresh my memory why they need to be replaced?
The senior
Well,
tables?
Senior
Yeah.
center, first of all, they keep collapsing.
That's a good
Okay,
reason.
they're very difficult to function.
Okay.
And actually, one of them got hurt a while back,
Oh.
fell on his foot.
Okay.
And the legs break.
Okay.
And the guys fix them themselves.
Right.
And they're too big, they're too heavy, everybody scrapes them. And that's why I think partly with the tiles too got
Mhm.
ruined. And it just is not a good
Yeah,
situation.
okay, thank you.
Marion, I'll talk, I guess, can you follow up with Ashley? You want me to follow up with the capital surplus number again?
Well,
Just
if
to-
Ashley's coming in, I thought, somebody told me,
Tomorrow.
I'll follow up
Okay.
on him.
Okay. Cleaning services, another one of my favorites. So we're doing an enhanced cleaning. I don't know what that means, other than
Well,
We don't feel that
Well,
we
I'll
don't-
address it, I'll address that.
Do we not feel that we're pushing them for the final time here now, and that's it?
As you know, I told you that I solicited another quote, and the other quote came in, and I said, Madam Mayor was adamant that Louise should be able to have an opportunity to provide a quote for the same level of services as the new vendor. And he came in and he provided an identical quote for less money, and we didn't do anything right away because I was a little skeptical of whether we would get it, the level of service. So in talking to the mayor, we decided to try it out for 1 month. And I must say that he's been really making an effort. I think it's interesting that he's speaking to me saying he's spending 3 hours to clean the locker room, and I may not be exactly right, but that suggests that they hadn't been cleaned regularly like they were supposed to in the past. But
Did he hire
we're
anybody
allowing
else?
him the opportunity to turn over a new leaf. He, even today, when I went up before the meeting to grab my paperwork, he had a conversation with me. He said, you know, we're really trying hard. I have someone, you know, dedicated.
Here's another
They're
employee.
tackling room by room to truly bring it up to speed. My issue is always, you know, this is the pat answer I get from either the mayor or my secretary is like, well, just call him and he'll come. I said, I shouldn't have to remind. It's not like, you know, my house. So even now with the enhanced cleaning, I went through and the first week, one of the weekly cleaning things is supposed to be dusting picture frames. So I said, as to things you're doing once a week, do that on a Friday. Well, then next Monday I went through, went like this, and there's dust. And you have to tell them. So I did ask the chief, I made the chief of police aware that we have this enhanced cleaning. That was one of, they have serious concerns about the
Yeah.
cleanliness.
Yeah.
So I will be putting my head together. We'll be sharing notes and we're gonna see what happens going
Okay.
forward. Okay?
Okay.
I just have one question on that, though, from what you just said. That doesn't sound like we're doing things correctly insofar as we ask them to step up and we ask them to set the price to step up, as opposed to going out and getting quotes for
We
something.
did, we got 2 quotes.
Oh, because I thought you said like that, you're right, I misunderstood. It just clicked. Thank
Yeah,
you.
okay.
Yep.
Yeah, we did get
Yeah.
quotes. They
Thank
you.
came
We
in
did get 2
probably with
quotes.
the same number
Thank you.
then, so.
We
Okay.
didn't tell him what the first person bid on. We didn't tell
I
him that
would
number.
Okay, so stop
Now,
signs.
Peter.
Madam Mayor, stop signs. You want a commitment from the council to do something?
Okay, well, the stop signs, we don't have enough money in signs to cover it in the regular signs. So, we're going to order them through, like streetlight repair, but I would like a commitment from you that we would, after November, transfer it where it's supposed to be.
How much is it? And I will commit to it.
I think it's $29.50 we would need.
About 3K?
Yeah.
I'm
And-
willing to sign up for that.
Okay, good, thank you.
Anyone else?
Yes.
I mean,
Okay, it'll be done tomorrow morning, you just say the word.
Do it.
Take a vote.
We just, I didn't see it, but we painted the streets, right? Stop
Yeah.
ahead.
They look great.
So, yeah.
They-
so let's-
Yeah, the
let's
streets markings look
I'd love
really
to
good.
just knock off one whole project and say, yeah, so, okay.
I have to say that,
Tom, you okay or no?
I'm sorry,
Are you okay?
I was trying to figure out if we hired a dispatcher or not.
No,
I'm
we
sorry.
did 7 of them, but are you okay with hiring, moving somebody to get the 2 stop signs at Van Amberg?
Absolutely,
Okay, all right.
absolutely.
thank you.
Right.
Okay, pedestrian crossing signs.
Wait,
that-
Steve, I just want to tell you that the guy from the county, Hack Barth works with him on the traffic, whatever, he's head of traffic maintenance.
Yeah.
And he came up here so many times, like helped us measure, figure stuff out, made suggestions. You know, they have a good rapport, and I did send him a nice letter today thanking him. They had it all done.
Yeah, it looks really good. You know, every year I get a little concerned watching the students go to the high school, walking along those paths. but this year, everything seems to be in
Yeah.
order, and I think.
And they
you know,
even joined up with the ramp at the high school so that, you know, it flows for the kids, you know, I think it's good.
you know, we have to have better safety control, traffic control in the town.
Yeah, but I just
think
wanted to tell you about that.
Marking things
yeah.
are really important, and they did a great job this year, so hopefully it maintains itself.
Bob,
Yes.
I think we should buy these pedestrian crossing signs, and where Dr. Cassio talked about, when you make that bend around the school, you should have these flashing pedestrian signs go in there also. And there's a couple other spots in
Which
town we
flashing
should put
one you
them.
talk about?
Are these flashing ones or the stand-up ones?
The flashing stand-up ones that are solar panel.
Not the yellow ones you're talking about.
I'm not sure which ones these are.
Yeah, which
Well,
ones?
it's like the stop signs, but they're yellow pedestrian and they flash.
Did we see
By the
them?
high school, you mean?
Yeah, especially
I saw
around
one yesterday in
where that new
Saturday in
crossing thing is.
Oakland.
Because if you come past Stone Mill, you're basically on top of the kids already.
That southeast
Yeah.
corner you're talking.
Yeah.
There's,
The
yeah, there's-
entrance to the high school.
Yeah.
yeah.
And I was gonna take it a step further and say, since that's a new crosswalk, maybe for the first few days, we should put a cop there also, just to get people used to slowing down there, in case kids are crossing. Not make it permanent, but just for the first few days, so people traveling that stretch know that there's now a crosswalk there.
I mean, if we're gonna move money, I mean, let's buy a couple of these flashing signs and improve the safety of the
Did we
town.
look at these? Did we pee?
Yeah,
on
I gave you
Did
a
look at
price
these,
on
Mary
them.
Ann?
They're yellow and they flash. I saw some in Oakland on Saturday.
But did
This
we-
is the first time I'm hearing that you are interested in doing these
Yeah.
signs for pedestrian.
Well, I find it,
Do you have, Tom,
I've
do
been
you
talking
have?
about it
I
for
think we talked about
months.
these
Not
signs.
that
Yeah, I have them here.
No, not the
That's-
ones
that's-
you're talking
Not
about.
the stop sign though, right?
No, this is stop sign, but the flashing, pedestrian flashing,
Okay,
I brought
so-
up a while ago.
But
And-
Tom, we
and-
talked about those flashing signs, not for pedestrians, but by the firehouse.
Yeah,
We talked
and
about those.
Yeah, that one and the pedestrians right before Memorial Field, I talked about them, putting
Oh,
them there.
Mr. Snide talked about that as well.
Yeah.
So can you, I guess you need to see what they are, right, Marion, for
Well,
I think I
requisition?
know what he's talking about. That wouldn't be me, that would be the police department to proceed with it, but I'm sure it's the same company.
Yeah, I think that was the one I had the county guy come down, the two county engineers, and they, here it is right here. And they recommended those sites that we could put them in.
Let me see.
I didn't realize they were flashing. I knew you were talking about
Yeah, they were
signage by the
the
side of the
solar
road.
flashing ones.
Okay.
I think I have quotes.
Okay, so this goes to Captain Hackbarth?
Yes, I believe he had a conversation with the mayor. Actually, I brought this up with him the other day when he's back from vacation, and he, I think he said he was gonna talk to the mayor about signage on the
Oh.
side of the road for
You want the rest of
pedestrians.
Here's the rest
No,
of it.
this, I just want to see what it was, thank you.
Oh, okay.
All right, so, Madam Mayor, you're having a conversation?
I'll talk to him about it,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay,
And if you want quotes, I got quotes.
how much are they?
For four of them, they were 5,186.
For four?
Yes.
We have $1,079 in signs left.
Well, actually, we're gonna have to get multiple quotes because we already spent a fair amount, and then that would push us up to 6,000, so. Tom, I'd appreciate copies of those if you wouldn't mind. Maybe tomorrow I can get them.
Absolutely, I can give you the whole folder.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so let's go to police dispatcher. So now they've interviewed 7 candidates?
We're down to 3. They're taking a test on Wednesday. I don't want to say what the test is because I don't want them to know.
Oh, that should have said week of 8/21, not 7/21. I just saw that typo.
Oh, that's what WO meant, week of?
Yes.
Oh, when I see that, it's usually without, and so, again, I
Yeah,
was
you're
guessing.
right.
I don't know what Peter
I
got
know,
all
right? These
glasses on
abbreviations.
tonight.
I'm trying to condense this onto 8.5
I get
by
it.
11.
I get
That's
it.
the problem.
But these dispatchers are already trained, right? They're pre-trained?
They wanted
They're
he
not-
wanted
they're
a
not
certified one.
trained.
Some
Not
are,
trained.
some of them are trained. Don't say they're not trained. Some of the ones you got
I don't know
inventory
how much you
are
want to get
trained.
into.
We shouldn't really be talking about this right now.
Right.
Okay, but we are interviewing, going ahead then. Personnel reviews. Sue actually is complete. We gave it to Mike and I, but we didn't speak to her, so she's done.
Okay,
She'll
then
give you
it
the
has to
paperwork.
get to my office after she reviews it and signs it. Good, okay, very good.
Linda's done. This one that's still frightening here is this Quest.
Yeah, that was just held up for the pay-to-play stuff.
And you just approved it, so.
The mayor's
It
already,
was on the
Consent.
consent agenda.
Yep. You know.
Okay, so now I think we're on, how you doing, all right?
oh, I thought we were done.
Yeah.
He really owes you one.
All right, no, so now,
2 hours later.
yeah, you got a good one tonight. Okay, capital projects,
It's all self-explanatory. You have no questions.
no, well, I do have a question, my famous question. So anyway, I'm not gonna talk about the fire truck. So the Mason truck they're looking at, right, with the leaf pusher, but I don't know if we're
This
gonna,
leaf pusher is,
but I assume we won't have that for the leaf season.
Unfortunately, I don't believe so.
Right, okay. Fire hose replacement, now, here's one that just, I think we really should, I don't know why we're not there yet, but the computers. So where are we with the computers?
Well, it says that he gave me quotes on
We have 4 quotes.
August 15th. He broke it down. State contract, federal contract, non-contract IT services. So, the pricing, I verified that the pricing's right. It's just a matter of whether it's the right PC for us, you know, the right amount of PCs, 22, 23, you know, whatever. That's not the issue. Then I came to the IT.
I'm sorry, just so I understand. So you verified what it is we wanted, what Peter went through and said, this is everything we need, this is the equipment, so you're saying, okay, that matches to the PO?
Yeah, no,
Okay.
actually, I did the intermediary step where I
Okay.
said to him, okay, he was giving me prices in a narrative. I said, okay, this
Okay.
is where I'm plopping it into my spreadsheet. And he gave it back to him. I said, this is what I kind of want. And then he gave it back to me in the forms of quotes. However, in the IT portion of it, for the installation configuration, yada, 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 it was over 6,000. I asked Ken, does this fall within an exception? And it did not. So I needed to get a second quote. So thankfully, luckily, Sue has had a name to give me from her prior experience, her prior life before Washington Township. And I solicited that company, received a response very quickly, and we began a dialogue by virtue of emails. The mayor is now in the loop. What happened was, I don't want to get into too much what was revealed with this second vendor, but we're getting a lot closer. The mayor needs to sit down with the mayor and I are going to put a phone call into this second vendor and just make sure we understand some of his questions. He questioned the firewall, he questioned the antivirus protection. So there are things like that that we just have to, but we are very close.
Okay.
But we're very close to identifying how much things will cost. It's whether or not, then it's up to the mayor whether she wants to do all 23 computers, or, you know, there was discussion about repurposing, for instance, my hard drive, which is one of the newer ones.
Oh,
I
yeah.
am getting a laptop, the one I'm saying, repurposing my hard drive up to maybe fire prevention.
Hers is a newer one.
Because the fire prevention officer is there
Okay.
very
so-
infrequently.
so
So those
with
are the
any-
little things.
So regarding any technical questions, I mean.
Also, the
Peter
other
went through the technical aspects of this stuff, so if there are any questions, you,
Marion has kept me in the loop on this
Okay.
also, and I agree with everything she's doing. and
Yeah,
Okay.
the time
we're
that it's
checking
taking.
on,
okay,
like, he doesn't like the cement, you know, that,
that's fine, as long as we're keep moving ahead.
No,
so-
we've made a lot of headway.
So we can put a completion date of 9:30 here?
I don't see why we couldn't, depending on, you know, what the
whether we go with the
available.
I-7 or the I-5.
Okay, I'll put a completion 9:30. That's all I have, but unless anybody else has anything on this, but,
I think we should it sounds like we are nickel and diming. Do we repurpose a machine that's relatively new? Why not put everyone on the same platform, on the same specs? And that way, every time we have to do an upgrade, every time we have to do something that impacts every system, we can do it.
Mike, we
I'm not looking to throw away money.
We very well might do that. We're just kind of looking at different questions the second vendor asked.
And have we ever reached out to the school district to see if they offer any type of IT support? Because I couldn't have been more impressed with the setup they had in their conference center, in that conference room. You know, I thought their technology on the surface appeared pretty...
They probably have full-time IT people.
I'm sure they do, but if they have full-time IT people, do they offer a shared service? I mean, is that something that we would be interested in? Is that something that we can get?
That's a good question. That's a good point.
And Michael, just to piggyback on that, I agree with you completely. I don't ever agree with repurposing a machine, because you put the labor in, whether it's a new or used machine. I'd rather put it into a new machine as opposed to you put labor into a used machine and then it goes in 2 years and then you got to set a new one up anyway. So I'm not a big fan of repurposing for what these machines cost.
Agree. Okay. So I just want to obviously make it clear that I know we spent $500 to bond the DMF and Firehouse, but we're not pulling a penny for any of these projects, obviously. That's an Ashley question, I assume. So,
Yes.
And I know she knows that, but I just want to verify that we don't pull anything from that. So-
Well, I will say that there were engineering fees associated with Mr. Steele's involvement with the DMF, and what there is an older ordinance out there for a feasibility study that was tapped for that, not the current ordinances.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. Motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Gosh.
You're always ready for adjournment.
It's before 11, you can't possibly be ready for that.
Councilman Calamari.
Yes.
Councilman Casio.
Yes.
Councilman Sears.
Yes.
Councilman Ullman.
Yes.
Council President Bruno.
Yes.